Chapter 162. Xiao Guang, help me modify the authority of the token. With a slight smile, Wang Kai ordered indifferently in his heart. Master, the authority of the token has been modified. 2 minutes later, Xiao Guang's cold voice sounded in his sea of consciousness. Very good. Looking at the token in his hand, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of a satisfied smile. Now, this token could help him ignore the protective barrier and directly take the treasures inside the formation. A human tier 5th grade formation was indeed not simple. However, Wang Kai and Xiao Guang's knowledge of formations was comparable to an experienced 6th grade formation master. Although the treasure pavilion's formation was suppressed by the eye of the formation and it might be difficult to destroy the formation, it was easy for Wang Kai to ignore the formation and take the treasures. Walking to the side of a jade platform, Wang Kai shook the token, and then through the light membrane, he took out an exquisite crystal ball placed inside the formation. In the crystal ball, there was a red drop of blood the size of a tennis ball sealed in a special way. It emitted waves of strong soul power fluctuations, and one could faintly hear the roar of a dragon. The blood essence of 100,000-year soul beast, Vajra Jade Flood Dragon. I didn't expect the 7 treasures glazed sect to be able to get such a treasure. Walking to the side of the crystal ball, Wang Kai couldn't help but nod his head. 100,000-year soul beast was very difficult to kill, and dragon-type soul beasts were the strongest among soul beasts. Although its cultivation was only 100,000 year, this Vajra Jade Flood Dragon's fighting strength was not weaker than a peak Dolu. To be able to get such a drop of blood essence, the 7 treasures glazed sect was indeed worthy of being one of the 3 great sects. Naturally, this drop of blood essence had many uses. If used to refine pills, this drop of blood essence was equivalent to a 7th grade heaven rank pill material, and it was one of the more valuable 7th grade heaven rank pills. And if used in formations, a drop of 100,000-year soul beast's blood essence could be used to inscribe heaven rank or even god rank formations. Not only that, it could also be used to refine soul tools and other treasures. Of course, to Wang Kai, the best way to use it was to use this drop of Vajra Jade Flood Dragon's blood essence to refine his body. Shura was born from blood. The blood of powerful living beings could activate Emperor Shura's instincts and enhance Wang Kai's physique and battle instincts. It was extremely beneficial to Wang Kai. It's mine now. With a faint smile, Wang Kai stored the crystal ball into the small dimension. After that, he spent 1,000 points to purchase the blood of an ordinary dragon-type soul beast from the merchant shop and put it back as a replacement. It was obvious that this drop of flood dragon blood had been here for a very long time. However, this was also very normal. Currently, the Dolua continent's pill refinement techniques, formation techniques, and soul tool refinement techniques had all but disappeared. Ordinary soul masters simply couldn't use such heavenly treasures. As for body refinement, this was even more impossible for ordinary soul masters. If it weren't for Emperor Shura's extremely powerful god's martial soul, even a soul sage or soul dolua who activated their martial soul true body would find it difficult to withstand the power of this drop of blood essence, let alone use it to refine their bodies. It was precisely because of these various reasons that this drop of precious Vajra Jade Flood Dragon's blood essence had been placed here and hadn't been taken away. In the end, it had benefited Wang Kai. After taking the blood essence, Wang Kai immediately came before another light barrier. Wang Kai reached out and took out a pale yellow pill. Golden Sun Meridian Flaming Pill. Not bad. Although it's only a human tier 5th grade pill, it's still one of the more valuable items in the precious treasure pavilion. After taking the Golden Sun Meridian Flaming Pill, Wang Kai immediately exchanged it for a non-graded embryonic pill worth 500 points. Golden Sun Meridian Flaming Pill, a human tier 5th grade pill. After consumption, a golden sun fire would rise and refine a soul master's meridians. It was one of the more precious 5th grade pills. Looking at the history of this pill, it was already more than 1,000 years old. Perhaps it was refined by a senior of the Seven Treasures glazed sect. However, it was more likely that this was obtained by a disciple of the Seven Treasures glazed sect in a ruin on the Doloa continent. Therefore, no soul master recognized it, and it was kept in the precious treasure pavilion as a collection. Although some of its medicinal properties had been lost, it was still a pretty good pill. If he wanted to exchange for such a pill from the system, he would need about a few 100,000 points. If he consumed it, he would gain a few thousand sources of experience, which was equivalent to Wang Kai's few days of cultivation. Naturally, Wang Kai also accepted it with a smile. Natural treasures, soul tools, soul beast materials, precious ores in 5 minutes. Wang Kai had already exchanged the 50 most valuable items on the first floor of the precious treasure pavilion. Revealing a satisfied smile, Wang Kai walked towards the second floor of the precious treasure pavilion. The second floor, the third floor, the 9th floor. 40 minutes later, except for some obvious and large soul beast corpses, Wang Kai had already taken away most of the treasures on the 9th floor of the precious treasure pavilion that caught his eye. Not bad, I really made a small profit this time. Looking at his harvest, Wang Kai couldn't help but nod his head in satisfaction. From the precious treasure pavilion, Wang Kai took away at least 400 valuable items. Each item was worth more than 100,000 points. Among them, there was a pill close to the heaven rank and 2 heaven rank natural treasures. However, it was obvious that the Seven Treasures glazed sect's soul masters didn't discover the value of these treasures. Otherwise, these treasures wouldn't have been left here. Naturally, Wang Kai didn't have any psychological burden to take them away. It's about time to go. Just as he was about to take out 3 treasures as a cover to leave, Xiao Guang's voice suddenly sounded in his sea of consciousness. Master, I found a hidden array here. Hidden array? That's great. However, will activating the array alarm other soul masters? Hearing Xiao Guang's words, Wang Kai's face revealed a trace of joy, but he still asked cautiously. There's a certain possibility. I suggest that master exchange for the array truth explanation so that nothing will go wrong. Xiao Guang immediately gave an answer. Of course. Let me exchange for it. After deducting 500,000 points, Wang Kai successfully exchanged for the array truth explanation, and his points were reduced to 360,000. 360,000 points didn't seem to be much, but Wang Kai still had more than 600 points, which was equivalent to 6 million points. However, considering the fraudulent exchange rate between source points and points, Wang Kai didn't intend to use his source points to exchange for points unless there were any unexpected circumstances. Along with the prompt, countless knowledge about arrays poured into Wang Kai's sea of consciousness, and his face immediately revealed an intoxicated expression. So the array is here. This time, without Xiao Guang's prompt, Wang Kai had already discovered the existence of the hidden array with his own ability. The location of this array happened to be at the center of the top of the 9th floor of the treasure pavilion. Xiao Guang, now do you have the ability to open the array without alerting others? Wang Kai secretly asked in his heart again. Of course, master. This time, Xiao Guang gave an affirmative answer. Then, open the hidden array for me. Wang Kai instructed Xiao Guang again. Chapter 163. Yes, master. Rays of spiritual power were released under Xiao Guang's control. Immediately, the center of the 9th floor of the precious treasures pavilion shone with a purple light. Less than a second later, under Wang Kai's gaze, the glowing ground slowly caved in and formed a pit. The path of formations is truly incomparably mysterious. Sighing, Wang Kai leapt into the pit, his body floating as light as a feather. Landing at the bottom of the pit, Wang Kai was immediately faced with an extremely complex and dazzling formation. Looking at the 12 sparkling and translucent fist-sized crystals on both sides of the formation, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of joy. Heavens, it's actually high-grade soul crystals. Looks like the place this teleportation formation leads to is absolutely extraordinary. Carefully sizing up the teleportation formation, Wang Kai couldn't help but exclaim. Immediately, he circulated all the soul power in his body and quickly activated the formation beneath him. Let me teleport. Following Wang Kai's words, the 12 high-grade soul crystals surrounding the teleportation formation began to glow faintly. In the next moment, the complex runes beneath Wang Kai's feet lit up one after another. Soon, all the runes of the teleportation formation were activated. Immediately, a thick purple pillar of light gushed out from the bottom of the teleportation formation, enveloping Wang Kai's entire body. In the next moment, Wang Kai only felt his entire body warm up slightly. Soon after, the soles of his feet disappeared, and everything around him became illusory. His body's senses also became blurry in an instant, as if he had sunk into absolute darkness and silence. A few seconds later, Wang Kai's eyes suddenly lit up. Slightly blinking his eyes, he had already arrived in a small secret room. Looking forward, in the center of the secret room, there was an altar completely cast from blue crystals. And on top of the altar, there were 3 exquisite, translucent, and incomparably beautiful crystal boxes. It can't be? Are there only 3 items? Looking at the 3 crystal boxes in front of him, Wang Kai frowned slightly. However, after confirming that there were no other magic circles or traps, Wang Kai still took a few large steps forward and immediately used the detection eye to look at the items in the 3 crystal boxes. Great Void Thunder Dragon Right Leg Bone Rarity. 700,000 years description. This is the right leg bone of an ancient soul beast, the Void Thunder Dragon. It is extremely precious. Once you fuse with this soul bone, it can greatly enhance a soul master's attack, defense, and speed. It can also make a soul master immune to most spiritual pressure. Apart from that, it can also slowly transform a soul master's body, allowing a soul master to possess a certain amount of dragon blood power. Inheritance Crystal or Description. This is an inheritance crystal left behind by a quasi-god expert. It contains a lot of inheritance information. 9 Heavens Soul Extinguishing Sword Quality. 10th Grade Divine. Description. This is an ancient god-ranked soul tool. Every charge requires 1 top-grade soul crystal or an equivalent amount of soul power. After it's fully charged, it can unleash an attack that's comparable to a peak Dolua's 9th soul skill. Even if it is not charged, it can still be an extremely sharp weapon. The blade can cause damage to titled Dolua and 100,000-year soul beasts. He didn't know if he didn't see it, but he was shocked when he saw it. After obtaining the specific information of the treasures in these 3 crystal balls, Wang Kai immediately beamed. Great, I'm rich. Looking at the treasures in these 3 crystal balls, Wang Kai was wild with joy and nodded repeatedly. He knew that a teleportation array that required 12 high-grade soul crystals to activate would lead to a secret room that would contain ordinary items. The value of any one of these 3 treasures far exceeded the value of all the treasures in the 7 treasures glazed sex treasure pavilion. If converted into points, the value of each of them would definitely exceed tens of millions. I've been in the treasure pavilion for quite some time. It's time to leave. Walking to the teleportation array, Wang Kai circulated his soul power and then used it to return to the treasure pavilion. After removing the high-grade soul crystals embedded on both sides of the teleportation array, Wang Kai restored the hidden array. Then, he took out the 3 concealment items and walked out of the treasure pavilion with a smile. Evening, small plain. Then, let's accept the inheritance of this inheritance crystal first. For the Void Thunder Dragon right leg bone, fusing with a 700,000-year soul bone would definitely take a few days. Wang Kai was prepared to return to the martial soul hall to fuse with it. However, for this inheritance crystal, the time it would take to accept the inheritance would not be too long. Not to mention, Wang Kai still had Xiao Guang as his helper. With a trace of excitement, Wang Kai placed the inheritance crystal on his forehead and then activated it with his spiritual power. Although Wang Kai had obtained many cultivation insights from titled Doloa in the Martial Soul Hall and the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect, compared to the inheritance crystal, it was really difficult to pass down the truly precious insights through ancient books. Therefore, the value of this inheritance crystal was definitely much higher than those ancient books. Moreover, the owner of this inheritance crystal was not an ordinary titled Doloa, but a quasi-god. On the Doloa continent, if one did not want to accept the inheritance and rely on their own strength to become a true god, then a soul master must take 4 steps. The first step was to cultivate divinity and become a demigod. At present, on the Doloa continent, perhaps only the deep-sea magic whale king had reached this step. The second step was to forge a divine body and divine soul and become a quasi-god. A quasi-god was also known as a quasi-god. At this step, a soul master could easily live for 1,000 years. At the same time, their strength had already surpassed the limits of mortals. They could condense divine power and fuse with their 10th soul ring. They could cross the astral world and reach other worlds with their physical bodies. The third step was to ignite the divine fire, raise the divine kingdom, and ascend to the god realm. This advancement was also called a heavenly official. At this step, a soul master could live as long as the heavens and earth. If one did not care too much about it, they could be considered a member of the gods. The fourth step was to comprehend the laws and condense a godhead. After comprehending the corresponding laws and condensing a godhead, a soul master could be considered to have truly become a rank 3 god. And as the comprehension of the laws deepened, the godhead could also be upgraded, allowing the soul master's strength to continue to rise. On the Doloa continent, Sendoryu and Poseidon had relied on the inheritance of the gods to become titled Dolu. They had a certain amount of divinity in their bodies, and could even mobilize a certain amount of divine power. However, they were not demigods or quasi-gods, and would never be able to embark on the path to becoming a god. As for Tang San's great-grandfather, Tang Chen, before he received the inheritance of the god Shura, he could defeat Sendoryu. It was very likely that he had already become a demigod. Although he was framed by Luo Chaxing, and could not inherit the god Shura's position and become the king of massacre in the city of massacre, he had already passed the 8th test of the god Shura and condensed a divine body. His strength was considered to be at the level of a quasi-god. It seemed that the owner of this inheritance crystal had already reached the realm of the strongest person on the Doloa continent. Such an inheritance crystal was naturally very precious. Wang Kai's spiritual power continuously poured into the inheritance crystal. After being activated, the inheritance crystal quickly lit up. Immediately, a sea of knowledge flowed into Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. Chapter 164. My name is Ning Xian. Accompanied by a powerful voice, a domineering and imposing figure appeared in Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. Lucky descendant, prepare to receive my inheritance. After Ning Xian finished his self-introduction, his figure also slowly dissipated in Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. Immediately, a vast amount of inheritance memories merged into Wang Kai's consciousness. So that's how it is. An hour later, Wang Kai slowly opened his eyes. With the end of the inheritance, Little Light's analysis of the world's laws also directly increased by 10%, reaching 83%. It was worthy of being the inheritance of a quasi-god. However, after receiving Ning Xian's inheritance, the analysis of the world's laws had also entered a new threshold. Now, the information of soul masters below the titled Dolo level could no longer increase the analysis speed. Even if it was the comprehension of a titled doluo, it could only increase the analysis speed by about 1%. It was already very difficult to increase the analysis speed. However, with 83% analysis speed, Little Light could already deduce the Great Mystery Star's heavenly suppressing soul refining divine technique to the 9th level. At the same time, its deduction speed for existing techniques had greatly increased. Now, Little Light only needed a month to deduce the first 8 levels of the technique. However, if he wanted to deduce the 9th level of the technique, Wang Kai's spiritual power was still not strong enough, and Little Light's current calculation ability was also insufficient. It would require an entire half a year's time. Apart from the technique, Little Light already had the ability to deduce the limitless Blood Fiend Spear technique to the 81st form. However, this would also be an extremely time-consuming project. On the contrary, Wang Kai was preparing to deduce a set of sword techniques for himself to better use the 9 Heavens soul-extinguishing sword he just obtained. Speaking of this Ning Xian who left behind the inheritance, he was a super powerhouse from 10,000 years ago, and his cultivation base was definitely that of a quasi-god. Not only that, he had already ignited the god fire, and was only a step away from ascending to the god realm. However, just as he was about to raise his divine kingdom, a god sent down a clone and warned him that he was not allowed to ascend to the divine realm. There was a limit to the number of gods that could be maintained on the Doluo continent, unless the old gods took the initiative to pass on their positions. The Divine Realm Committee had already prohibited the creation of new gods. If Ning Xian dared to raise his god nation privately, he would suffer the joint attack of all the gods and die. Due to the obstruction of the divine world, Ning Fan could not truly become a god. However, Ning Fan had already ignited his divine flame. Thus, he was also rejected by the will of the Doluo continent. In the end, after staying there for 100 years, he had no choice but to leave the Doluo continent and head to the star realm alone to find another world that could accommodate him. However, before he left behind a portion of his treasures and inheritance. At the same time, he told Wang Kai a shocking piece of news. After his investigation, he found out that the gods of the Doluo continent had always ordered their descendants, which were the ancient clans, to collect information on the Doluo continent regarding pill refinement, soul tools, and the method to become a god. From then on, Wang Kai finally understood why the knowledge of pill refinement, weapon refinement, formation and other things that were once so popular on the Doluo continent had all disappeared in the long river of history. As for why the gods would unanimously forbid the birth of new gods, Ning Xian also shared his guess. Selfishness. The birth of every god required a certain amount of world power from the Doluo continent. In other words, it was the authority of the world. However, at the same time, it was very difficult for gods to fall. The Doluo continent was not a huge world in the first place. If there were an endless stream of people who became gods, the authority of the original gods would only continue to decrease. Therefore, they used such despicable means to maintain their ruling position. There is actually such a secret on the Doluo continent. It seems that in the future I will only have to fight with Tang San, but I will also have to fight with those evil gods and their descendants. However, I believe that no matter what, the final winner will be me. 2 days later, in the main tower of the 7 Treasures glazed sect. Different from a few days ago, this place was already filled with red decorations. The entire hall was filled with a joyous atmosphere. Today we are going to celebrate a grand event together. My daughter, Ning Yuxian, will be married to the Holy Son of the Martial Spirit Hall, the direct disciple of the Angel Doluo Wang Kai. At the same time, this also signifies that our 7 Treasures glazed sect has reached a new level of cooperation with the Martial Spirit Hall. Now let us welcome the 2 newlyweds. Standing in the middle of the hall, Ning Fengji's face was filled with joy as he spoke loudly. Congratulations, Lord Sect Leader. After seeing Wang Kai's talent, most of the elders of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect had already acknowledged Wang Kai. Therefore, they all raised their wine glasses and congratulated Ning Fengji. Now, let us welcome the two newlyweds. Seeing that the elders' congratulatory voices were getting softer, Ning Fengji spoke again in a loud voice. Just as he finished speaking, a handsome young man and a beautiful young lady walked out from both sides of the hall. This young man looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and his skin was as smooth as jade. He was wearing a red robe, and he was extremely handsome. Needless to say, this was Wang Kai. As he walked, Wang Kai looked at Ning Yuxian with admiration and affection. Looking at Ning Yuxian, who was opposite Wang Kai, Ning Yuxian had already changed into a white wedding dress on this joyous occasion. Her pink hair was draped over her shoulders, and a golden ribbon was gently tied around her waist. It outlined her perfect waist, and also showed off her impressive figure. She was devastatingly beautiful. Unlike usual, Ning Yuxian wore a pair of snow-white lace gloves today. Looking up, Ning Yuxian's clear and beautiful eyes were filled with love and attachment as she looked at Wang Kai. Wang Kai, are you willing to let Ning Yuxian become your wife and enter into a marriage contract with her? Regardless of illness, health, or any other reason, you will love her, take care of her, respect her, accept her, and never leave her? Ning Fengji asked solemnly as he came between the two and looked at Wang Kai. I am willing. Wang Kai nodded and replied. Very good, Yuxian. Are you willing to accept Wang Kai as your husband? Are you willing to marry him? Regardless of illness, health, or any other reason, you will love him, take care of him, respect him, accept him, and be loyal to him until the end of your life? Yuxian is willing. Very good. Now, the groom, please put on the wedding ring for the bride. At this moment, Ning Fengji ordered. Yes. With a reply, Wang Kai took out the wedding ring that he had prepared beforehand and put it on Ning Yuxian's right pinky finger. Feeling the warmth of Wang Kai's hand, Ning Yuxian's face turned red. Very good. Elders, guests of the Martial Spirit Palace, with all of you as witnesses, we wish this newlywed a happy life. Now, let us give them a round of applause to congratulate them. Following Ning Fengji's words, all of the guests applauded. Even Chen Xian and the golden alligator Dolua clapped symbolically. Very good. Now, husband and wife, bow to each other and enter the bridal chamber. Half an hour later, in Ning Yuxian's room. Mr. Wang Kai, please. Ning Yuxian said coquettishly. All right, Yuxian, I won't stand on ceremony then. Wang Kai pounced forward impatiently. After a simple warm-up, an indescribable battle immediately erupted. Chapter 165. There was no need to describe the beauty of the night. After a fierce battle, the two of them fell into a deep sleep due to exhaustion. The next morning. Get up, it's getting late. Hurry up and eat. After that, we should go and find father-in-law. Hearing Ning Yuxian's words, Wang Kai revealed a confident smile and said gently, Yes, Yuxian understands. While answering Wang Kai, Ning Yuxian slowly sat up from the red bedsheets and left the room with Wang Kai's help. After bathing and changing clothes, the two of them had breakfast together and left Ning Yuxian's room. Holding Ning Yuxian's hand, Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian walked towards the Seven Treasures Glazed Pagoda in the center of the Seven Treasures Glazed City. Wang Kai greets father-in-law. 15 minutes later, they arrived at the hall where Ning Fengji was. Wang Kai hurriedly bowed, and Ning Yuxian, who was beside him, also bowed to Ning Fengji. Well, it seems like you had a good night last night. Looking at Ning Yuxian, whose face was still slightly red, Ning Fengji revealed a meaningful smile. Ah, yes, father. Hearing Ning Fengji's reply, Ning Yuxian's mind immediately recalled the battle that couldn't be described in detail. She said shyly and speechlessly, Yuxian, for young people like you, this is a very normal behavior. The first time is unfamiliar, the second time is familiar. You will slowly understand it in the future. Looking at Ning Yuxian's performance, Ning Fengzhi smiled faintly. He thought of the past and said with emotion, "Father, this." After listening to Ning Fengzhi's advice, Ning Yuxian's face turned even redder. "All right, today, I will bring you to the sacred place of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect, Glazed Pagoda, to receive the star power infusion. My good son-in-law Yuxian, let's go together." Without teasing Ning Yuxian any further, Ning Yuxian said to the two indifferently, "Thank you, father-in-law." Hearing Ning Fengzhi's words, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of joy. The glazed star pagoda was one of the relics left behind by the ancient seniors of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect. In the interior of the glazed star pagoda, there were magical formations set up by formation masters who were proficient in the Tao of formations. These formations could draw upon the power of the stars to fill a soul master's body. After receiving the infusion of astral power, a soul master's spiritual power would be greatly enhanced. At the same time, the astral power brought by the formation would also strengthen a soul master's body and soul power. Although the effect was extraordinary, the glazed star pagoda's infusion was not free. If the glazed star pagoda wanted to perform an astral power infusion for a soul master, the glazed star pagoda would have to accumulate astral power for a very long time. On average, the glazed star pagoda could only accumulate 2 or 3 astral power infusions per year, which was extremely precious. Normally, such a precious opportunity would only be given to the most outstanding soul masters of the younger generation of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect and the protectors who had reached the Soul Dolua level. This time, in order to establish a good relationship with the Martial Soul Hall, especially with the future Holy Son of the Martial Soul Hall, Wang Kai, Ning Fengzhi had really put in a lot of effort. Half an hour later, the 6 of them arrived at the back mountain of the Seven Treasures Glazed City, accompanied by the Sword Dolua, Bone Dolua, and Gold Alligator Dolua. Finally, they stopped in front of a 9-story pagoda that looked similar to the Precious Treasure Pavilion and exuded a powerful aura. Taking out a silver-gray token from his spatial ring, Ning Fengzhi pricked his finger and gently tapped on the door of the glazed star pagoda. Not long after, accompanied by a dull sound, the huge door of the glazed star pagoda, which was close to 10 meters tall, slowly opened. "Go in. Remember, take off all your clothes and soak your body completely in the star pagoda to receive the infusion of astral power. This is the best way to unleash the astral power to temper your body. If you start to feel a little dizzy, it means that you've basically reached your limit. At this time, you should leave as soon as possible." Ning Fengzhi and the 3 titled Dolua stopped outside the glazed star pagoda and watched as Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian walked into the glazed star pagoda. After entering the glazed star pagoda, a huge pool with a diameter of 10 meters was built in the center of the glazed star pagoda. This was the star pagoda that Ning Fengzhi had mentioned. Inside the star pagoda, there were many silver-gray liquids that flickered with beautiful radiance. These liquids exuded a strange smell that made one's spiritual power feel comfortable and their soul power increase slightly. Needless to say, these liquids contain the power of the stars. After entering the glazed star pagoda, Wang Kai lifted his head and looked at the top of the pagoda. Unlike the Precious Treasure Pavilion and the Book Collection Hall that he had swept through before, this huge glazed star pagoda didn't have any layers. The interior of the pagoda was close to 100 meters tall, and it was extremely grand and majestic. When he looked around, he saw that there were many mysterious runes that were emitting silver-gray light carved on the pagoda's body. These runes flickered and exuded a terrifying aura. They absorbed traces of star power and gathered them into the glazed star pagoda. Finally, they were converted into the star pagoda's star pagoda. Indeed, this is a complete heaven-grade array formation. Wang Kai exclaimed in his heart as he sensed the array formation that covered the glazed star pagoda. The Seven Treasures Glazed Sect is indeed one of the 3 upper sections. As he thought about it, Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian had already walked into the Star Pagoda. They took off their clothes and exposed themselves. Wang Kai and Chihiro Snow had already done this when they were cultivating together. Naturally, their faces and ears weren't red. As for Ning Yuxian, if it was before yesterday, she definitely wouldn't have accepted this method of cultivation. However, she only blushed slightly and immediately sat down with her legs crossed. She immersed her entire body in the Star Pagoda, leaving only her head outside of the Star Pagoda. Just as the two of them entered the Star Pagoda, the array formation inside the glazed Star Pagoda was activated at the same time. Instantly, the runes on the pagoda shone brightly. Rays of dazzling starlight shot out from the pagoda's walls and shot towards the two of them in the Star Pagoda. Although the starlight looked very dazzling, Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian didn't feel uncomfortable at all when they were wrapped in the starlight. Instead, they felt warm and comfortable. At the same time, as the starlight shone, the Star Pagoda in the Star Pagoda started to boil. It kept flowing into Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian's bodies, and started the process of filling their bodies with star power. It has already started. Looking at the glazed Star Pagoda that suddenly shone, Ning Fengji said softly, "One round of filling of the body with star power will last for at least 12 hours. With Prince Wang Kai and Yuxian Er's talents, they should be able to last for a day or even longer. Senior Golden Alligator, we don't have to wait here. Why don't we go back and discuss our cooperation?" "Sure." The Golden Alligator Doluan nodded slowly, and the four of them left the glazed Star Pagoda together. Chapter 166. "By the way, Schwanner, I have something good for you." Setting aside Ning Fengji and the others who had already left the glazed Star Pagoda, Wang Kai also summoned the beautiful silk tulip from his small plane before handing it to Ning Yuxian, who was sitting across from him, upon seeing that the infusion of star power had already begun. Since Ning Yuxian had already become his woman, it was only natural that this immortal-grade herb, which could help the Seven Treasures glazed pagoda to evolve, belonged to her. "Sir Wang Kai, what is this?" There was still a hint of confusion in Ning Yuxian's eyes as she looked at the beautiful silk tulip in Wang Kai's hand. However, in the instant that the beautiful silk tulip appeared, Ning Yuxian felt her Seven Treasures glazed pagoda martial soul begin to jump with joy, as if it were going to leap out of her body and pounce on the herb in Wang Kai's hand at any moment. This is a miraculous natural treasure known as the beautiful silk tulip. It grows in a miraculous place where it absorbs the essence of heaven and earth and the radiance of the sun and moon. It takes tens of thousands of years for it to mature, and it is extremely precious. More importantly, this beautiful silk tulip can help you break through the restrictions of your Seven Treasures glazed pagoda martial soul and evolve it into the Nine Treasures glazed pagoda. Wang Kai spoke with a serious expression as he looked at Ning Yuxian's beautiful scenery. "Sir Wang Kai, did you just say that this herb can help my martial soul evolve into the Nine Treasures glazed pagoda?" Ning Yuxian asked in disbelief after hearing Wang Kai's words. "That's right." Wang Kai nodded before continuing, "Now it's yours." "Thank you, Sir Wang Kai." Ning Yuxian excitedly accepted the beautiful silk tulip from Wang Kai's hand after hearing this, then planted several kisses on Wang Kai's face. "All right, there's no need to be so excited. Let's begin cultivating. Remember, you can't swallow this flower. You have to chew on the stamen and petals gently before circulating your soul power to spread the medicinal effects throughout your body." Wang Kai instructed with a faint smile before closing his eyes and beginning to refine the star power that had entered his body. I understand, young Master Wang Kai." Ning Yuxian didn't disturb Wang Kai any further after he entered a state of cultivation. She swallowed the beautiful silk tulip according to Wang Kai's instructions, and streaks of golden light immediately erupted from her body, bringing with them a rich tulip fragrance that made her appear like a celestial maiden. At the same time, her Seven Treasures glazed pagoda martial soul, and her martial soul power spirit, Jade's body's body, began to frantically absorb the golden light. My martial souls is evolving. The jade tulips the way the light sea soul, the Yuxian, Wang Yuxian, the Wang Wangs is of the hev of pagoda a. Beside Ning Yuxian, Wang Kai also began to use his inner vision. Wang Kai immediately circulated his soul power and spiritual power to frantically refine the star power in his body as he sensed the endless stream of star power flowing into his body. Time passed, and streaks of star power were refined by Wang Kai. Most of the star power was converted into pure spiritual power, which continuously flowed into Wang Kai's sea of consciousness, allowing Wang Kai's spiritual power to continuously make breakthroughs. At the same time, the remaining portion of star power was converted into soul power and blood energy, continuously enhancing Wang Kai's soul power and blood energy, causing his aura to become more and more powerful. Ning Yuxian was also constantly refining the star power and medicinal effects in her body beside Wang Kai. As the refinement progressed, the golden light around Ning Yuxian's body also continued to strengthen. Every time the golden light strengthened, Ning Yuxian's 7 treasures glazed pagoda would become even more dazzling and eye-catching. A day and a half later, Ning Yuxian felt that her head was starting to feel a little dizzy. She slowly climbed out of the star pool and ended the infusion of star power. At this time, the golden light around Ning Yuxian's body had completely retracted. She held her 7 treasures glazed pagoda in her right hand, but it was different from before. At the bottom of her 7 treasures glazed pagoda, there was a faint circle of golden light that resembled tulip petals. Young Master Wang Kai is really too powerful. Looking at Wang Kai, who was still cultivating, Ning Yuxian couldn't help but admire him from the bottom of her heart. Young Master Wang Kai was not only able to endure when he was fighting with her, but also when he was cultivating. At this time, Ning Yuxian looked at her martial soul in front of her again, and a look of ecstasy appeared in her eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's right, this is the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. She was afraid that she would disturb Wang Kai's cultivation, so she didn't dare to make a sound. However, she could feel her heart rate accelerating at this moment, and she was extremely excited. Even though Wang Kai had told her about the effects of the beautiful silk tulip, Ning Yuxian was still extremely excited when she sensed the changes in her martial soul. That's right, her martial soul had broken through the restrictions of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda and evolved into the legendary 9 treasures glazed pagoda. This also meant that she had successfully broken through the restriction of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda martial soul that could only contain 7 soul rings, and she now possessed the potential to become a titled Dolu. An evolution like this was an opportunity that all soul masters who possessed the 7 treasures glazed pagoda yearned for. At the same time, this was also the lifelong goal of her father, the sect master of the 7 treasures glazed sect, Ning Fengji, and she had achieved it now. And all of this was a gift from the man beside her. Ning Yuxian looked at Wang Kai, and the admiration in her eyes became even more pronounced. Furthermore, not only had her martial soul evolved, her soul power had also benefited immensely from the refinement of the beautiful silk tulip and the infusion of star power into her body. Prior to refining the beautiful silk tulip, Ning Yuxian's soul power had only just reached rank 37. Now, her soul power had progressed from rank 37 to rank 44, which was an increase of 7 ranks. At the same time, her spiritual power had also been enhanced significantly. At the same time, after refining the beautiful silk tulip, Ning Yuxian's appearance and disposition had also been elevated to a higher level. Originally, Ning Yuxian's appearance could already be said to be extremely beautiful. However, compared to the current Ning Yuxian, the previous Ning Yuxian felt a little inferior. Her skin was as fair as snow, and her eyes were as clear as water. As she looked around, there was a sense of elegance and nobility emanating from her body that struck one with a sense of awe and reverence. However, in Ning Yuxian's cold and proud eyes, there was a sense of seduction and captivation in one's soul. She really was a stunningly beautiful woman. It's a pity that I'm not powerful enough, so I won't be able to accompany you here forever. I wish you good luck, Sir Wang Kai. Even though she had left the star pool, the star power within the glazed star pagoda was still extremely rich, and Ning Yuxian's body had already reached its limit, so she didn't dare to stay here for too long. She looked at the young man in the star pool with an affectionate gaze before quickly departing. Chapter 167. Father, I've completed the astral power infusion. Ning Yuxian revealed a radiant smile when she arrived in the hall where Ning Fengji was. Yes, very good, Yuxian. When I received the astral power infusion in the glazed star pagoda, I only endured it for 1 day and 15 hours. You've done very well. Ning Fengji praised her softly. He extended his spiritual power outwards and felt the aura of Ning Yuxian's soul power. He couldn't help but exclaim softly, Yuxian, your soul power. Ning Fengji revealed a look of disbelief as he spoke. He hadn't seen her for a day and a half, but her soul power had already broken through from rank 37 to the peak of rank 40? Not only that, Ning Fengji could tell that Ning Yuxian's soul power was extremely abundant. Once she obtained a soul ring, she could probably break through to rank 44, or even higher. This wasn't right. Could it be that he had sensed wrongly? Although astral power infusion could also increase a soul master's cultivation, Ning Fengji knew that at least 80% of the astral power that entered the body would be converted into soul power. The remaining 20% would be converted into soul power to increase a soul master's cultivation. According to convention, a soul master's soul power could only increase by 1 or 2 ranks after experiencing an astral power infusion. Therefore, Ning Yuxian's situation was very abnormal. Ning Fengji extended his spiritual power once again to check Ning Yuxian's cultivation. This time, the confusion and shock on Ning Fengji's face was even greater. Yes, Father. Right now, my soul power has already broken through from rank 37 to rank 40. Furthermore, I can feel that once I obtain my 4th soul ring and break through to the soul ancestor level, my soul power will experience another huge leap. Seeing the confusion on Ning Fengji's face, Ning Yuxian opened her mouth and spoke softly. A day and a half to rank 7. Yuxian, don't tell me you've obtained the ancestor's legacy? At this moment, Ning Fengji seemed to recall some secret history that he had read in the sex records. His voice was a little excited as he asked. I didn't receive the ancestor's legacy, Father. Ning Yuxian shook her head slightly and continued, however, in the glazed star pagoda, Mr. Wang Kai gave me a special herb. After I consumed this herb, my cultivation increased by so much. A special herb? Ning Fengji furrowed his brows at Ning Yuxian's reply. Even though he'd come into contact with many treasures and pills, the most powerful of these treasures could only raise a soul cultivator's cultivation by 1 rank. It was impossible for him to achieve Ning Yuxian's miraculous feat of raising a rank 7 soul cultivator in a day and a half. That's right, young Master Wang Kai said that this herb is called the beautiful silk tulip, and after consuming this herb, my martial soul underwent some changes as well. As if she had seen through Ning Fengji's suspicions, Ning Yuxian raised her right hand as she spoke. Instantly, a brilliant rainbow light began to gather in her palm. 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, revolved around the gorgeous pagoda in Ning Yuxian's right hand. The dazzling radiance immediately made the hall even brighter. This is, looking at the pagoda in Ning Yuxian's hand, Ning Fengji immediately stood up from his seat with an incredulous look in his eyes. Heavens, 9 levels and 9 colors, this is the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. Right at this moment, the white-robed Chen Xin exclaimed as he looked at Ning Yuxian with ecstasy. That's right, when Ning Yuxian released her martial spirit, the color of her palm was different from the original 7 colors. There were 2 more colors, making it 9 colors. At the same time, The pagoda in her palm quietly became 9 levels tall. My heavens, the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, it really is the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. The heavens have blessed my 7 treasures glazed sect. I never thought that I would be fortunate enough to see the legendary 9 treasures glazed pagoda in my lifetime. The ecstasy and disbelief in his eyes were difficult to conceal. Ning Fengji's voice began to tremble, and the corners of his eyes began to blur. Yes, as the strongest support-type martial soul, the 7 treasures glazed sect had always had a secret, and this secret appeared in their martial souls. Heaven was fair. When it opened a door for you, it was bound to close another door. Although the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was extremely useful on the battlefield, it also had a fatal flaw. The 7 treasures glazed pagoda was called the 7 treasures not only because it only had 7 levels, but more importantly, this martial soul could only accommodate 7 soul rings, which was 2 fewer than any other martial soul. Because of this, Ning Fengji's soul power was still stuck at rank 79, even though he was the sect leader of the 7 treasures glazed sect. He was unable to break through to the next realm. According to the legends of the 7 treasures glazed sect, Ning Fengji knew that if there was a special opportunity, the 7 treasures glazed pagoda could possibly evolve into the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. If that happened, not only would the Soul Master's foundation and talent be strengthened, but it would also give him an extremely vast space. Even the 7 treasures glazed pagoda could be considered the strongest support-type martial soul on the Dolua continent. Once it evolved again, its power would be unimaginable. Once a soul master with a 9 treasures glazed pagoda became a 9-ring titled Dolua, he would be known as the god of support. He would have the ability to turn the tables on any battlefield. Throughout his life, Ning Fengji had been pursuing the evolution of his martial soul. However, until now, he had not made any progress. He never thought that his lifelong dream would be realized by his daughter. Happiness came too suddenly. Even though he was the sect leader of the 3 sects, Ning Fengji was completely stunned. Ning Fengji was not the only one who was excited. Chernexian and Gu Rong were also very excited. As they looked at the pagoda in Ning Yuxian's hand, the 2 of them were speechless. They did not know what to say. After a long while, Ning Fengji finally regained his senses. He sighed and said, "This is your opportunity, and also the 7 treasures glazed sect's opportunity. With you, perhaps the 7 treasures glazed sect can recreate the glory of the ancient times. However, I never thought that such an opportunity would befall us because of your marriage. Actually, in the beginning, I wasn't too willing to be someone else's co-wife. However, when I saw young Master Wang Kai, I realized that my spirit and martial soul were instantly attracted to him. Perhaps it was because he had that heavenly treasure that I was attracted to him, and that was why we were able to establish such a beautiful connection." At this moment, Ning Yuxian was a little embarrassed as she explained. "Perhaps it is exactly as you said." Ning Fengji listened to Ning Yuxian's words and nodded slightly. He continued, "Since His Highness Wang Kai has given you such a great opportunity, you must repay him well. Serve him well and work hard to conquer his heart. Not only that, as the future god of support, only someone like His Highness Wang Kai, who is a peerless Dolua or even more talented, can unleash your abilities." "Yes, I understand, Father." Ning Yuxian nodded slightly as she listened to Ning Fengji's warning. Actually, there was no need for Ning Fengji to say it. Ever since the wedding night, Ning Yuxian had already been conquered by Wang Kai. Whether it was her heart or her body, she felt that she couldn't leave Wang Kai for the rest of her life. Chapter 168. Yes, Stillwater, go and cultivate properly. Try to refine the remaining star power in your body. Go. After giving some words of encouragement, Ning Yuxian also left the hall where Ning Fengji was and returned to her own courtyard to begin her cultivation. Sigh, now, I'm even a little regretful that I married Yuxian to that brat Wang Kai so easily. Ning Fengji shook his head and sighed softly as he watched Ning Yuxian leave. Why don't you think about it from another angle? Stillwater's fate was created by Wang Kai alone. If she didn't marry Wang Kai, she wouldn't have been able to obtain such good fortune. Everything is fated. Sect leader, you don't have to be too conflicted. When Sword Dolua Chin Xian heard Ning Fengji's sigh, he saw through Ning Fengji's thoughts and smiled as he consoled him in a soft voice. Uncle Jian, you're right. However, a married daughter is like spilled water. It's been thousands of years, and our 7 treasures glazed sect finally has a new 9 treasures glazed pagoda soul master. However, she has to become an outsider. When I think of this, I feel a little indignant. Ning Fengji nodded as he listened to Chen Xian's words. However, one could hear a tinge of regret in his voice. Sect leader, regardless of whether it's the 7 treasures glazed pagoda or the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, don't we have to rely on powerful soul masters to unleash their true strength? Although Wang Kai is a disciple of the martial soul hall, I have to admit that his talent is probably the best in the world. It's not a loss for Stillwater to become his woman. After all, if a husband and wife are of the same mind, they can cut through metal. Bondula Gu Rong tried to persuade Ning Fengji when he saw that he was still a little depressed. Sigh, all of you are right. Forget it, let's not talk about this. The Golden Alligator Dolua has proposed a few new terms for our cooperation. Let's discuss them first. Ning Fengji didn't want to continue arguing about this matter. He took the opportunity to change the topic. Disregarding the changes in the outside world, at this moment, Wang Kai was still seated cross-legged in the star pool within the vast glazed star pagoda. He was bathed in the resplendent starlight that was projected from the pagoda. Streaks of 9-colored starlight cascaded down. Spiritual energy surged and enveloped Wang Kai's entire body. Within the starlight, Wang Kai was also doing his best to crazily refine the star power that was continuously fusing into his mind and body. His spiritual power, soul power, and blood energy were constantly pushed to new heights. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. After 2 days of refining, Wang Kai's spiritual power had soared from 16 to 18. His soul power and blood force had also improved. At this time, the runes on both sides of the glazed star pagoda changed again. Immediately, clusters of black and white starlight were born from nothingness. All of a sudden, these starlight turned into bright star flames that completely enveloped Wang Kai's body. As the starfire neared Wang Kai's body, it instantly began to burn fiercely. However, Wang Kai didn't feel any pain under the starfire. On the contrary, he only felt incomparably comfortable and relaxed. It was as if he had ascended to the pure land of bliss, as if he had entered the ethereal immortal realm. His entire body and soul had been endlessly refined. Wang Kai seemed to have turned into a human-shaped living being that was formed by sparkling and translucent flames as he was enveloped by the star flames. The star flames kept burning, and the speed of the star power that poured into Wang Kai's body increased again. At the same time, under the tempering of the star flames, the impurities hidden in his body and tendons were constantly burned away, making his physique even purer. It was as if he had undergone a cleansing of his tendons and meridians. Not only that, under the calcination of the star flames, Wang Kai's sea of consciousness also underwent a mysterious and indescribable transformation. Under the simultaneous advancement of spiritual power, soul power, and blood force, Wang Kai's aura kept rising. 1 hour, 2 hours, time continued to pass, and the starlight cast by the glazed star pagoda became more and more magnificent. The star flames on the surface of Wang Kai's body also burned more and more vigorously. Gradually, Wang Kai also felt a little pressure. With a thought, Wang Kai entered the state of being possessed by Emperor Shura. Suddenly, layers of black scales and dragon balls appeared outside his body, and the pressure on him was also reduced. With the help of Emperor Shura's martial soul, Wang Kai successfully persevered under the extremely bright star flames, and continued to accept the tempering of the mysterious star flames. 22 hours, 23 hours, 1 day. 1 day passed by like a white steed passing by. Under the tempering of the star flames, Wang Kai's temperament had undergone a completely different change, and his appearance had also become much more handsome. Before entering the glazed star pagoda, due to the influence of the god martial soul, Wang Kai's appearance and temperament could already be said to be handsome and extraordinary. After receiving the transformation of the star flames, Wang Kai's hair was fine and smooth like the best black jade, enough to make any woman feel inferior. His skin also showed a smooth and lustrous ivory, as if he had been reborn. His entire life form had undergone a qualitative change from the inside out. At this moment, the runes on both sides of the glazed star pagoda began to gradually darken. The vast starlight in the glazed star pagoda disappeared little by little, and the star flames that shrouded Wang Kai also slowly extinguished. "Is it over?" Opening his eyes and sensing the abundant spiritual power in his sea of consciousness, Wang Kai revealed a faint smile. Refining star power, obtained origin experience plus 10,000. Refining star power, spiritual power has greatly increased, from 16 tasks to 22 tasks. Mysterious star heavenly suppression soul, refining divine technique, has been deduced to the 6th level, time to the 7th level deduction. 6 days and 15 hours. At this moment, the system prompt sounded in Wang Kai's ears. Very good. With 10,000 origin experience, I'm even closer to becoming a rank 58 Soul King. Moreover, not only has my experience increased, my total soul power has also increased by about 10%, and my physique has also increased by nearly 10%. What's even better is that my spiritual power has also made a great breakthrough. Although I'm only using 22 tasks at the same time, the multitasking secret technique deduced by Li Ning still has a certain flaw. Now that Xiao Guang's analysis of the world has greatly increased and he has obtained the heart of 7 apertures glazed glass, he has the ability to deduce a higher level multitasking technique. At that time, even if I obtain a 4th martial soul, I will be able to control it. After the breakthrough in his spiritual power, not only did Xiao Guang's deduction speed become faster, Wang Kai's perception and decisiveness had also greatly improved. Soon, he planned the next step to take. It's time to go now. Putting on his clothes, Wang Kai looked at the star pool that was about to dry up, revealed a satisfied smile, and then strode away. Chapter 169. Father-in-law, thank you for giving me this opportunity to enter the glazed star pagoda and receive the infusion of star power. I've really benefited a lot. After finishing his cultivation, Wang Kai came to Ning Fengji's office and immediately bowed respectfully to Ning Fengji. This is nothing. We're family. Besides, if you really want to thank someone, you should be thanking me the most. The 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda is the glory that our 7 Treasures Glazed sect has been trying to recreate for thousands of years. After hearing Wang Kai's thanks, Ning Fengji waved his hand and said gratefully, "Since Xue has become my wife, I should naturally give this heavenly treasure to her." Wang Kai said at this time, "By the way, my good son-in-law, did you receive the infusion of star power in the glazed star pagoda for 3 whole days?" At this time, Ning Fengji also asked curiously. "Father-in-law is right. I did receive the infusion of star power in the glazed star pagoda until the array stopped on its own 3 days later." Wang Kai nodded and immediately replied, "That's amazing. The younger generation is really formidable. When I was in the glazed star pagoda, I only lasted for less than a day and a half. I really pale in comparison." After hearing Wang Kai's reply, Ning Fengji's tone revealed a trace of envy and admiration. Even Chen Xian and Gu Rong behind him nodded repeatedly. The refinement of the Starflame Pagoda wasn't that easy to accept. The further it went, the higher the requirements for a soul master's aptitude. Even they couldn't last for 3 days. By the way, Wang Kai, I'd like to ask if you still have the beautiful silk tulip that you gave to Stillwater? At this time, Ning Fengji asked again with a trace of anticipation. Father-in-law, I don't have any more beautiful silk tulip. A treasure like this absorbs the essence of heaven and earth and grows for tens of thousands of years. It can be called a celestial item. It's already a great blessing to obtain one in this world. How can you possibly obtain a second one? After hearing Ning Fengji's words, Wang Kai shook his head and explained. Immortal grade, immortal grade. This kind of extraordinary item can indeed be called immortal grade. I was too greedy. Wang Kai's answer did not surprise Ning Fengji. However, when his last glimmer of hope was extinguished, he still nodded in disappointment. Father-in-law, it just so happens that Stillwater has reached level 40 and is only a step away from becoming a soul ancestor. Dare I ask if there's a soul hunt forest nearby? I'm willing to take Stillwater there to hunt soul beasts and help her become a soul ancestor. At this moment, Wang Kai continued to speak in a low voice. Your idea isn't bad. This way, not only can you and Stillwater develop feelings for each other, you can also familiarize yourself with each other's abilities. This will make it more suitable for you to fight side by side in the future. After hearing Wang Kai's words, Ning Fengji's eyes lit up. He nodded and continued to speak. There's a soul hunt forest 50 kilometers to the west of our 7 treasures glazed city. There aren't any 10,000-year soul beasts there, but there are quite a few thousand-year soul beasts. You can bring Stillwater there to hunt soul beasts. Stillwater's martial soul has already evolved. According to the capacity of her martial soul, although she can't add a 10,000-year soul ring to her third soul ring like yours, the sword Doluo, bone Doluo, and I estimated that her third soul ring can add a 4,000-year to a 5,000-year soul ring. In the northwest of the Soul Hunt Forest, there's a crystal butterfly with a cultivation of 4,700 years. It can be used as Stillwater's 4th soul ring. Father-in-law, I promise to complete the mission. After hearing Ning Fengji's words, Wang Kai nodded in agreement. Very good. This is the map of the Soul Hunt Forest and the token to enter it. Here. As he spoke, Ning Fengji retrieved a map and a wooden token from his spatial ring and passed them to Wang Kai. Half an hour later, in Ning Yuxian's residence. Stillwater, today I'll bring you to the 7 treasures glazed sex Soul Hunt Forest number 4 to help you obtain your 4th soul ring and become a soul ancestor. At this moment, Ning Yuxian had already finished refining the remaining star power in her body. After hearing Wang Kai's words, Ning Yuxian revealed a smile and kissed Wang Kai's cheek. With Wang Kai's speed, as long as he went all out, he could reach the Soul Hunt Forest 50 kilometers away in less than 10 minutes. However, to Ning Yuxian, she was only a soul ancestor and her martial soul was an auxiliary type martial soul. Hence, in order to take care of Ning Yuxian, the two of them chose to travel on horseback. Of course, in order to cultivate their relationship, Wang Kai didn't choose to ride separate horses with Ning Yuxian. Instead, he let Ning Yuxian ride a precious Windchaser 10,000-mile dragon colt with him. Ning Yuxian sat in front of the horse while Wang Kai controlled the colt from behind her. They turned into a streak of white points and rushed towards the Soul Hunt Forest number 4. The road to the Soul Hunt Forest wasn't smooth and bumpy. Ning Yuxian's heartbeat quickened because of the constant impact from behind her. Her face couldn't help but turn slightly red. After 40 minutes, the two of them finally stopped at the entrance of the Soul Hunt Forest number 4. At this moment, Ning Yuxian's back was drenched in sweat and exuded an elegant fragrance. It made Wang Kai feel relaxed and happy, and he couldn't help but admire it. So fragrant! When they arrived at the inn, they tied up the Windchaser 10,000-mile dragon colt and instructed the inn's servants to feed it well. The two of them then arrived outside the Soul Hunt Forest. This Soul Hunt Forest was named Soul Hunt Forest number 4. Outside the forest's towering ancient trees, there was a circle of tall steel fences. On the side facing the forest, there was a large number of sharp spikes. These fences were more than 10 meters tall and 1 meter wide. Unless a 10,000-year soul beast or a soul emperor attacked with all their might, it would be very difficult for them to break through. This was very normal. 50 kilometers away from the Soul Hunt Forest was the flourishing Seven Treasures glazed city. Although the 10,000-year soul beasts in the Soul Hunt Forest had all been killed by the elders of the Seven Treasures glazed city, the remaining soul beasts would still be a threat to the commoners if they managed to escape the forest. This wasn't something the Seven Treasures glazed school wanted to see. Outside the fences, there were several groups of soldiers patrolling the entrance of the Soul Hunt Forest. These soldiers were all dressed in armor made of fine iron and held spears in their hands. They looked very disciplined, and when 100 of them stood together, they gave off a very somber feeling. These soldiers weren't normal people. They were all soul grandmasters with soul power of at least the rank of 20. The one in charge was even a soul exalt. Furthermore, they were all experienced in battle and were skilled in teamwork. As long as a soul beast wasn't too strong, it wouldn't be able to escape from the Soul Hunt Forest. Lady Ning. When he saw Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian, the leader of the soldiers quickly came forward and bowed to Ning Yuxian before respectfully standing at attention. Chapter 170. Captain, here you go. Wang Kai took out the token that Ning Fengji had given him from his spatial ring. He didn't explain much and just handed the token to the 100-man commander. Yes, your tokens are real. Please enter, esteemed guests. While returning the token to Wang Kai, the 100-man commander personally led Wang Kai and Ning Yuxian to the steel fence. A few soldiers pulled up the gate and let the two of them into Soul Hunting Forest. Yuxian, I'll carry you. After entering Soul Hunting Forest, Wang Kai smiled. Without waiting for Ning Yuxian's consent, he carried her in a princess carry and ran towards the northwest direction of Soul Hunting Forest. To avoid trouble, Wang Kai released his own aura. A terrifying aura enveloped him and Ning Yuxian, making it so that the soul beasts with less than 1,000 years of cultivation didn't dare to approach. They didn't speak for half an hour. That's right, it's here. A beautiful lake appeared in his field of vision. According to Xiao Guang's confirmation, this was the resting place of the crystal butterfly. He looked up, and sure enough, a crystal-colored butterfly was resting on a tree trunk near the lake. This crystal butterfly's body was close to 1 meter long, and its wings were about 1.5 meters long. On its transparent wings, there were many beautiful flower patterns. Yuxian, stay here and don't move. Wait for me to severely injure the crystal butterfly, then you can come and kill it. Wang Kai was prepared to leave, but Ning Yuxian pulled him back and said, Husband, let me go too. Although I can't fight, my abilities can help you defeat this soul beast. All right. Wang Kai nodded. Even though he didn't need Ning Yuxian's support to kill a mere 5,000-year soul beast, Wang Kai naturally wouldn't discourage her initiative since Ning Yuxian had taken the initiative to suggest it. Furthermore, there would be many situations where Ning Yuxian would support him in the future, so it wasn't a bad idea to experience it now. However, Yuxian, my rank is much higher than yours. My attributes are also much stronger than most soul masters. You have to pay attention to your soul power consumption. Don't get hurt. As he agreed, Wang Kai didn't forget to remind her. His actual soul power was only slightly weaker than that of a soul sage. If Ning Yuxian wanted to increase her soul power, she wouldn't be able to maintain it for long. Yes, I understand. Lord Husband, in that case, Stillwater will be blessed by Lord Husband. As she spoke, Ning Yuxian condensed her soul power. 9 treasures, glazed crystal. Chanting the soul chant, Ning Yuxian's body spun in a circle on the spot, and a beautiful 9-colored light was released from her body. At the center of the 9-colored light, a 50-centimeter-tall 9-story 9-colored pagoda appeared in Ning Yuxian's right palm. The light of the pagoda was dazzling, and the aura of nobility was overwhelming. With the appearance of her martial soul, Ning Yuxian looked like a fairy. She was incomparably holy and adorable. At the same time, 3 yellow, and purple soul rings rose from beneath her feet and quietly revolved around her body. 9 treasures. First, power. Second, speed. Third, soul. Following Ning Yuxian's shout, the soul rings around her body rose rapidly and enveloped the bottom 3 levels of the 9-colored pagoda. Following this, Ning Yuxian tapped lightly with her left hand and 3 streaks of colorful light were released from the 9-colored glazed pagoda and enveloped Wang Kai's body. Immediately, waves of warm energy flowed into his limbs and bones. Wang Kai felt that his body was filled with energy. His body became extremely light and the soul power in his body surged. So comfortable! Feeling the state of his body, Wang Kai couldn't help but sigh. With Ning Yuxian's enhancement, his strength, speed, and soul power had all increased by a full 40%. Furthermore, this enhancement could exist at the same time as the enhancement from his own soul skills, without affecting each other. This was the strength of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. The reason why the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was known as the strongest support-type martial soul was not only because it was extremely comprehensive, but also because every time a soul master with the 7 treasures glazed pagoda obtained a new soul ring, not only would they be able to increase one of their attributes, but it would also increase the effect of all their previous soul rings by 10%. In other words, Ning Yuxian's enhancement to Wang Kai was 40%. Once she became a soul ancestor, not only would she be able to increase Wang Kai's defensive attributes, but she would also be able to increase the effect of all his other attributes by 50%. Similarly, if Ning Yuxian became a titled Dolo one day, she would be able to increase all of Wang Kai's attributes by 2 times. 1 plus 1 was greater than 2. Clearly, this was an extremely terrifying enhancement. Of course, the 7 treasures glazed pagoda had a small flaw. The enhancement of 2 7 treasures glazed pagoda couldn't be stacked. In other words, if there were 2 7 treasures glazed pagoda soul masters, the enhancement would only be based on the one with the higher soul force. Even so, the enhancement of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was still terrifying. Watch closely Yuxian. Shura's Dragonslayer Spear. His 3rd soul ring flashed behind him, and the blood-red Shura's Dragonslayer Spear appeared in Wang Kai's hands. Then, he threw the blood-red Shura's Dragonslayer Spear through the air towards the crystal butterfly. Rip! Following the sound of flesh being torn apart, Shura's Dragonslayer Spear pierced through the crystal butterfly's white and tender body before it could react. The crystal butterfly was viciously pinned to the tree trunk. Pink blood flowed out from the crystal butterfly and flowed down the tree trunk. Wang Kai didn't use Shura's murderous aura to corrode the crystal butterfly's body. However, the crystal butterfly's life force was still rapidly depleting. "Husband, you're so powerful!" Ning Yuxian's eyes were filled with infatuation as she watched Wang Kai's actions. She was in awe of him. "All right, Stillwater, retract your buff and conserve your soul power. Let's go kill this crystal butterfly together." After reminding her, Wang Kai strode into the distance. "Yes, husband." As she spoke, Ning Yuxian removed her enhancement for Wang Kai and followed behind Wang Kai. Wang Kai jumped high into the air and slashed at the tree trunk. Instantly, the tree trunk fell, and the crystal butterfly fell to the ground. "Yuxian, finish it off quickly." Seeing that the crystal butterfly's life force was nearing its end, Wang Kai reminded her. "Yes, husband." As she spoke, Ning Yuxian came to the crystal butterfly's side. She took out a dagger from her waist and cleanly stabbed it into the crystal butterfly's head, ending its life. A 5,000-year soul beast that wasn't any weaker than a high-stage soul ancestor died just like that. A purple ring of light began to revolve around its corpse. Chapter 171. Not bad, Schwanner. Do you still have enough soul power? Wang Kai nodded his head in satisfaction as he watched Ning Yuxian deal with the crystal butterfly so cleanly. Then, he opened his mouth and asked, Husband, I still have plenty of soul power. I'll start collecting soul rings now. A trace of joy appeared on Ning Yuxian's face as she put away her dagger and sat down cross-legged. Okay, I'll protect you from the side. With that, Wang Kai nodded his head and stood quietly beside Ning Yuxian. Thank you, husband. Ning Yuxian smiled gratefully and closed her eyes. She reached out and grabbed the soul ring behind the crystal butterfly's corpse. The purple soul ring behind the crystal butterfly flew to the top of Ning Yuxian's head and fused with the 9 treasures glazed pagoda in her hand. Ning Yuxian's aura grew stronger as she fused with the soul ring. However, due to the intense pressure from fusing with the soul ring, Ning Yuxian still let out painful moans from time to time. Her body was also drenched in sweat. Through her white clothes, one could vaguely see her elegant demeanor. 3 hours later. Husband, I did it. Time ticked by. With her strong willpower, Ning Yuxian finally fused with her 4th soul ring and became a rank 44 soul ancestor. Opening her eyes, she leaned over excitedly and hugged Wang Kai tightly. Congratulations, Xuan. Wang Kai extended his hand to gently stroke Ning Yuxian's hair as he congratulated her with a smile. Okay, husband, let's go. Okay, sit tight. With that, Wang Kai gently carried Ning Yuxian in his arms and strode towards the entrance of the spirit hunting forest. 3 days later, 7 treasures glazed pagoda, 9th floor Great Hall. Today, let us celebrate the alliance between the 7 treasures glazed sect and the martial spirit hall. At the same time, let us give a farewell party to Senior Golden Crocodile and Holy Son Wang Kai, who came to sign the alliance. Ning Fengji sat in the center of the Great Hall and raised his wine cup. His voice was filled with soul power. The friendship between the martial spirit palace and the 7 treasures glazed sect lasts forever. The golden alligator Dolua's deep voice rang out in the hall. Following this, he raised his wine glass and swirled it in front of him. The friendship of the 7 treasures glazed sect and the martial spirit palace is everlasting. At this moment, the various elders of the 7 treasures glazed sect also raised their wine glasses and toasted the golden alligator Dolu. It was a joyous scene. That night, Ning Yuxian and Ning Fengji said their goodbyes. At the same time, the group from the Martial Spirit Hall returned to the Martial Spirit Holy City. Martial Spirit Sacred City, Green Xian Hall. After meeting Pope Bibidon and gaining her approval, Wang Kai brought Ning Yuxian and her 4 personal maidservants into the Green Xian Hall. Brother Wang Kai, I missed you so much. After knowing that Wang Kai had returned to the Martial Spirit Hall, Chihiro Snow had been waiting for him in the Green Xian Hall. When Wang Kai entered the Green Xian Hall, Chihiro Snow hurriedly went up to him and hugged him. At the same time, she buried her head in Wang Kai's chest. I missed you too, Schwerer. I'm back. Schwerer. Wang Kai gently stroked Xian Renchua's soft hair that carried a hint of milk fragrance as he comforted her softly. Humph, I saw your sister beside you. I think your soul must have been taken away by her, right? At this moment, Chihiro Snow's voice carried a tinge of anger as she asked. How is that possible? Even if there are other girls in my heart, Schwe will always be at the center of my heart. Don't think too much about it. Wang Kai gently caressed Chihiro Snow's beautiful blonde hair as he comforted her. Under Wang Kai's comforting, Chihiro Snow's emotions slowly calmed down after a while. Then, she let go of Wang Kai. At this moment, Wang Kai also smiled and introduced the two to each other. Schwerer, let me introduce you. This is my new wife, Ning Yuxian. Yuxian, this is the mistress of the Green Xian Hall, my wife Chihiro Snow. The woman that my husband likes is indeed extraordinary. Looking at the elegant, pure, and beautiful Chihiro Snow, Ning Yuxian sighed in her heart. Then, she extended her snow-white wrist to Chihiro Snow. Sister Chihiro Snow, you're so beautiful. I'm Ning Yuxian. In the future, I hope that I can get along well with Sister Chihiro Snow. Sister Yuxian, you're also very beautiful. In the future, we'll be a family. Looking at Ning Yuxian with a smile, Qian Renxue also enthusiastically extended her hands. The two pairs of white and tender hands tightly grasped each other in the air. Seeing that there was another girl whose beauty was not inferior to hers by Wang Kai's side, it was pure nonsense to say that Chihiro Snow was not jealous. However, Chihiro Snow was already mentally prepared for other girls to join Wang Kai's family. Polygamy was too common on the Dolua continent. How could she be the only one by the side of such an outstanding and powerful male soul master like Wang Kai? Furthermore, it was not just his strength. Wang Kai's fighting ability in that aspect was also terrifying. Although her martial soul was the six-winged angel, which was a god's martial soul, and her physique was far superior to that of ordinary soul masters, after experiencing several battles, Chihiro Snow also understood that she could not satisfy Wang Kai alone. As the possessor of Emperor Shura's martial soul, Wang Kai had also inherited Emperor Shura's terrifying tenacity and endurance. His energy could be said to be limitless. Perhaps only the legendary giant dragons could withstand Wang Kai's endless search and attacks. Therefore, at this moment, seeing that there was a new sister joining her and sharing her pressure, Chihiro Snow's heart was a little sour. However, she accepted it calmly and even felt a little happy. "Thank you, Sister Jianxue." Seeing that Chihiro Snow did not show any hostility or rejection towards her as she had expected, Ning Yuxian felt that half of the stone in her heart had been lifted. After all, she was only an auxiliary-type soul master. No matter how strong she was, her fighting ability could not be compared to Chihiro Snow, who was so beautiful that she did not seem human. "Yuxian, I'll bring you to arrange a room for you and your servant first." Chihiro Snow did not let go of Ning Yuxian's jade-like hand. At this moment, she pulled Ning Yuxian up and arranged a room for her in the Green Xian Hall. It was her duty as a hostess. Chihiro Snow's performance was very outstanding. During this meeting, nothing unpleasant happened. Chihiro Snow smoothly accepted the fact that Ning Yuxian existed. This also allowed Wang Kai to heave a sigh of relief in his heart. Fortunately, he had taught Chihiro Snow from a young age and used his love to inspire her. Otherwise, if Chihiro Snow had been groomed by Sendoryu or Bibidon like before, Chihiro Snow would probably have gone berserk and even tried to kill him. If that was the case, Wang Kai would be in a difficult position. Although he still liked Chihiro Snow the most in his heart, he could not bear to see Ning Yuxian, who was also his woman and deeply loved by him, get hurt. Looking at the harmonious relationship between Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian, who were like sisters, Wang Kai smiled with satisfaction. How many men wished for a harmonious family? Education must start from a child. Looking at this scene, Wang Kai could not help but think of this sentence in his heart. Chapter 172. Brother Wang Kai, tonight, let Jianxue spend the night with you. That night, Qian Renxue, who was wearing a pure white palace dress, walked to the outside of Wang Kai's bedroom. Soon after, she opened her cherry lips and whispered shyly. Listening to Qian Renxue's sweet voice, coupled with her peerlessly beautiful face and extremely pure temperament, she was truly eye-catching. "Lord husband, it's better if this concubine attends to your bed." At this moment, Ning Yuxian, who was wearing a purple dress, walked in. She glanced at the equally beautiful Chihiro Snow and walked to Wang Kai's side. She held Wang Kai's arm and said gently. It was obvious that although the two of them had accepted each other's existence, neither Ning Yuxian, who was the little princess of the Seven Treasures glazed sect, nor Chihiro Snow, who was the apple of Sendoria's eye, would be willing to fall behind another woman. And their goal was naturally to win the favor of their husband, Wang Kai. "All right, you don't have to fight. Yuxian, Shui, let's sleep together from now on." Looking at the two beauties beside him, Wang Kai faintly smiled and said, "Only children make choices, but he wanted all of them." "Yes, husband." Hearing Wang Kai's words, Ning Yuxian smiled and sat beside Wang Kai. "All right, let's do it together." Although Qian Rinxue sounded reluctant, she still quickly leaned on Wang Kai's shoulder. Seeing Ning Yuxian taking the initiative, Qian Rinxue spoke. The three of them slept together under the same blanket. In this sleepless night, Wang Kai also enjoyed the most extreme treatment as a man. The next morning, Yuxian, Shui, it's time to get up, Wang Kai said softly as he stroked the foreheads of the two girls beside him. Ugh, brother Wang Kai, I'm so tired. Qian Rinxue reluctantly opened her eyes, stretched her waist, and then muttered softly. I'm a little tired too. It seems that just the two of us can't satisfy our husband's needs. At this moment, Ning Yuxian also stretched her sore limbs and nodded in agreement. Yuxian, you're right. I didn't expect brother Wang Kai to be so powerful. It seems that he has been merciful to me before. I think that if more sisters join our family, perhaps we can satisfy brother Wang Kai's needs. When Qian Rinxue heard Ning Yuxian's words, she gently nodded her head. Wang Kai's strength had truly exceeded their imagination. Which girl didn't like powerful men? It could be said that Wang Kai's ability had completely conquered them from their bodies to their hearts. Unfamiliar the first time, familiar the second time. Train more and you'll naturally get used to it. As for new sisters, I think that there will be new sisters joining our family very soon. Wang Kai said with a smile as he dotingly helped the two girls put on their underwear. New sisters. Hearing Wang Kai's words, Chihiro Snow frowned. Although she kept saying that she wanted new sisters to share the pressure, when Wang Kai personally told her this news, she still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. After all, although having another sister would help her share some of the pressure, this also meant that the space she occupied in Wang Kai's heart would be reduced. After the Holy Sun ceremony, the Star Luo Empire's ambassador also proposed a marriage alliance. In 2 weeks, I will visit the Star Luo Empire. When I return, perhaps the two of you will have another sister. With a faint smile, Wang Kai opened his mouth to explain to Qian Rinxue and Ning Yuxian. The little princess of the Star Luo Empire? That sounds pretty good. Then Wang Shui will congratulate brother Wang Kai first. Furthermore, I also heard that the women of the Star Luo Empire's royal family not only have white tigers as their martial souls, but they are also little white tigers. Hearing Wang Kai's explanation, Chihiro Snow also smiled faintly. If it was the little princess of the Star Luo Empire, then she was indeed qualified to be Big Brother Wang Kai's woman. As for those fallen women, with her, Chihiro Snow, around, she would definitely not let those women get close to Wang Kai. Is what you said true? Shui is really knowledgeable. Hearing Chihiro Snow's words, Wang Kai's eyes lit up. Of course, but Jianxue didn't expect Big Brother Wang Kai to have such a fetish. There seemed to be a tinge of jealousy in her voice, and Chihiro Snow pinched Wang Kai's cheek from behind. All right, stop fooling around. We should get up and take a bath. We still have to cultivate in the morning. As he put on his clothes, Wang Kai held Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian's wrists and walked towards the bathhouse in the distance. After cleaning off the filth on their bodies, the three of them played and joked around for a while. Half an hour later, Wang Kai led the two beauties beside him, whose faces were still slightly rosy, to the dining hall. They were both beautiful and had the countenance of a flower and the appearance of the moon. Roasted spirit wheat toast, black heart goose liver sauce, roasted 10,000-year-old heavenly fire beefsteak, roasted mighty octopus tentacles. Sumptuous dishes made from spirit beasts were brought to the table by the maid. Lord husband, let me serve you today. As she spoke, Ning Yuxian, who was on Wang Kai's left, had already cut off a piece of steak, dipped it in the foie gras sauce, and swallowed it in her mouth. Sister Yuxian, you must be tired from the long journey. Let me serve Big Brother Wang Kai. As she spoke, Chihiro Snow did the same and placed a piece of steak dipped in the foie gras sauce in her mouth. Then, without waiting for Wang Kai to speak, she quickly leaned in front of Wang Kai's mouth and gave it a light push. Lord husband, there's mine too. Seeing that Chihiro Snow had already personally fed Wang Kai, Ning Yuxian did not want to be outdone. With a burst of fragrance, she came over and gave it a light push. "All right, listen to me. Stop fooling around. Let's all eat. My mouth is not that big. I can still hold on with the two of you feeding me. If a few more sisters were to come, wouldn't my mouth burst open?" As he chewed and swallowed the steak that the two girls gave him, Wang Kai shook his head helplessly. At the same time, he lightly knocked on Chihiro Snow's and Ning Yuxian's foreheads. Although the feeling of being fed was very comfortable, and with the spiritual liquid from the mouths of the two beautiful girls, this incomparably fragrant roast steak became even more delicious. However, this kind of feeding was really time-consuming. It was fine if it was done once or twice, but if it really became a routine, it would really be a waste of time. "Yes, big brother Wang Kai, Lord Husband." Seeing that Wang Kai had personally given the order, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian obediently returned to their seats and began to attack the delicacies in front of them. Chapter 173. After eating breakfast, Wang Kai told the two women that he was going to cultivate alone for a period of time. Then he walked into the secret cultivation room alone, released his substitute, and immediately entered the small plane. "Now, it's time to integrate the newly obtained blood essence and soul bone." With a thought, Wang Kai took out the crystal ball that sealed the Vajra Heavy Jade Dragon's blood essence, and then crushed it. With a crisp kacha sound, the next moment, the Vajra Heavy Jade Dragon's blood essence in the crystal ball fell into Wang Kai's hand. Different from blood in the general sense, this drop of Vajra Heavy Jade Dragon's blood essence was actually a fist-sized, crystal-clear, blood-red, hard gem with traces of golden light. As soon as this gem appeared, Wang Kai felt that the surrounding temperature seemed to have risen a little. An indescribable majestic and vicissitude aura also spread, and there seemed to be a palpitating dragon's roar reverberating faintly. "Refine it for me." Frantically urging his soul power, the Vajra Heavy Jade Dragon's blood essence swirled slightly and integrated into Wang Kai's body, turning into a cloud of golden-red smoke. Suddenly, a scorching hot lava seemed to have integrated into his tendons and meridians, and immediately invaded his internal organs. The instant pain caused Wang Kai couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. Emperor Shura's possession. With a thought, the next moment, Emperor Shura's martial soul phantom appeared behind Wang Kai, and it integrated with Wang Kai's body. Suddenly, the red and black Shura's scales grew on the surface of Wang Kai's body, and his muscles and tendons were also crazily strengthened and expanded, alleviating the constant pain. At the same time, he continued to urge Shura's evil spirit, and began to refine the blood essence in his body crazily. 1 hour, 2 hours, along with Wang Kai's refinement, the golden-red smoke formed by the Diamond Jade Dragon's blood essence became thinner and thinner. Bit by bit, it merged into Wang Kai's lungs and meridians, becoming one. Bit by bit, the blood essence fused with Wang Kai's body. At the same time, it released the energy essence contained within, continuously strengthening Wang Kai's meridians, organs, bone marrow, skin, flesh, and even every cell. "I did it." Half a day passed in the blink of an eye. When Wang Kai opened his eyes again, the Vajra Heavy Jade Flood Dragon's blood essence had been completely refined. Moving his body slightly, Wang Kai felt his body heat up and his bones crackling. It was as if his entire body was filled with power. "Great, after this refinement, my physical fitness has increased by about 3%. It really deserves to be called the blood essence of a dragon-type soul beast." Feeling the strength in his body, Wang Kai couldn't help but smile. Not only that, he felt that his primordial yang power seemed to have increased by a lot. There seemed to be something in front of his pants that was faintly hurting. It seemed that Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian, these two little girls, would be busy tonight. Of course, Wang Kai was a little disappointed because he only had one Vajra Heavy Jade Flood Dragon's blood essence. However, he also knew that it could increase his physical fitness. This Vajra heavy jade flood dragon's blood essence must be priceless. Unlike ordinary blood, blood essence was a treasure formed by 100,000-year soul beast spending a lot of time and condensing a lot of blood essence. It was incomparably precious. A soul beast's blood essence would be difficult to condense into a 2-digit amount of blood essence. Not only that, but the Vajra heavy jade flood dragon's blood essence in Wang Kai's hand was not ordinary blood essence. It had a certain amount of dragon blood in it. Therefore, even if it was exchanged in the system store, its value would not be less than 1,000,000 points. It was extremely valuable. Shaking it slightly, a large piece of dead skin on the surface of his body cracked. Wang Kai took out the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone. This was a silver-white bone that was about 70 centimeters long. Its surface was incomparably smooth, and there was a faint blue-silver lightning floating on its surface. It also revealed an extremely majestic dragon's pressure. Fuse with it for me. A strand of soul power wrapped around the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone in his hand. Wang Kai held his breath and concentrated, beginning the refinement. Following Wang Kai's refinement, the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone began to float in the air and faintly emitted a silver light. At this moment, a silver light shot out from the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone and entered Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. In the next moment, 100-meter-tall Void Thunder Dragon's shadow appeared in Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. It exuded a boundless and terrifying aura, as if it was a demon god that could destroy the world. Awoo! A mighty and terrifying dragon's roar sounded in the void. Immediately, the Void Thunder Dragon's shadow in Wang Kai's sea of consciousness slammed its claw towards Wang Kai. Humph! A remnant soul of a dead thing dares to be so arrogant. Go big for me. A ferocious light flashed in his eyes as Wang Kai crazily circulated his spiritual power. If this was the spiritual power of the Void Thunder Dragon that had just died, Wang Kai might have been a little wary. However, after thousands or even tens of thousands of years of baptism, the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone's spiritual power had already been depleted. Although this Void Thunder Dragon looked mighty, it was just a paper tiger that could be broken with a single poke. With Shura's spiritual power as his martial soul and spiritual power that was comparable to a soul Dolua's, Wang Kai wasn't afraid in the slightest in the face of the dragon's claw that was pouncing towards him. He immediately pushed his arms outwards. As Wang Kai roared, Wang Kai's body began to inflate like a balloon. In less than half a second, Wang Kai's voice was 100 times louder than before. He was like a giant that was as tall as a mountain. At the same time, sinister Shura's scales began to grow on Wang Kai's body. Wang Kai had turned into a human Shura. Break it! Wang Kai punched out fiercely. His fist that was as huge as a mountain tore through space and collided with the dragon's claw in the distance. Suddenly, a terrifying explosion spread from the point of collision. Terrifying sparks and dust flew in all directions. The nearby space seemed to have been blown apart. Suppress it! After pushing the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon back with one punch, Wang Kai punched out crazily again. He viciously attacked the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon in the distance. Bam! Following a loud sound, Wang Kai's fist smashed into the Void Thunder Dragon's skull, which was the weakest part of the dragon's skull. A deep crater was created. After being severely injured, the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon felt dizzy. It roared from the immense pain. Before it could regain its senses, Wang Kai raised his right hand again. His fist turned into a palm, and he smashed it towards the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon's head with a terrifying gust of wind. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, the skull of the Void Thunder Dragon's remnant soul caved in. Again. Palm after palm, in less than 10 palms, the Void Thunder Dragon's skull had already been shattered by Wang Kai. Red and silver dragon blood dyed Wang Kai's palm red. Much of the blood splashed onto the Shura's scales on Wang Kai's body, and its life force became lower and lower. Die for me. With one last palm strike, the remnant soul of the Void Thunder Dragon was finally unable to withstand Wang Kai's terrifying attack and died. Immediately after, its soul turned into motes of silver light and fused into Wang Kai's sea of consciousness. At the same time, the right leg bone of the Void Thunder Dragon in front of Wang Kai began to form a mysterious connection with Wang Kai. Chapter 174. Let's begin. Wang Kai smiled as he looked at the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone. He waved his hand. Suddenly, the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone started to vibrate. With Wang Kai's thought, the silver light around the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone started to expand until it completely enveloped Wang Kai's body. At this moment, if anyone else was in the small plane, they could only vaguely see Wang Kai's body through the silver light from the soul bone. Wang Kai was the first to feel a cold current flowing out from the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone as he was surrounded by the silver light. This cold current flowed into Wang Kai's right leg continuously. With the influx of the silver light, Wang Kai could feel that his right leg was becoming more and more connected to the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone that was suspended in midair. The cold current flowed into Wang Kai's body continuously. Half an hour later, the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone in front of him suddenly flashed. Immediately after, it started to vibrate at a mysterious frequency. As the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone started to vibrate, Wang Kai could feel that the green cold current in his body had become much stronger. Wherever the cold current passed through, he could feel a slight numbness and itchiness. Not only that, but this cold current was no longer limited to Wang Kai's right leg. Instead, it was flowing to every part of Wang Kai's body. Refine. As he sensed the cold current flowing from his muscles and veins, Wang Kai frantically urged his soul power to entangle and refine the cold current that was entering his body. 1,000 of cold currents were being refined by Wang Kai. Immediately after, they were converted into soul power and blood energy that entered Wang Kai's body. They continuously strengthened Wang Kai's body and veins from the inside. At the same time, his soul power and physique became stronger and stronger. As the refining went on, the right leg bone of the Great Thunder Dragon floating in the air started to fade. Its size also increased slightly, becoming the same size and thickness as Wang Kai's right leg. Finally, the last cold stream was absorbed by Wang Kai. At this time, the right leg bone of the Void Thunder Dragon in front of Wang Kai also let out a mysterious buzzing sound. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A total of 81 hums sounded. At this moment, the Void Lightning Dragon's right leg bone had completely turned into a shadow. It flew directly towards Wang Kai's right leg and finally merged into Wang Kai's right leg. Suddenly, Wang Kai felt the cold current in his body increase by several times. Under this frightening cold current, the blood in Wang Kai's body seemed to have solidified. His body also began to tremble slightly, but strangely, layers of black viscous liquid also began to slowly flow out of his pores. Hang in there! As he urged Shura's murderous aura and yin-yang body to fight against the cold, Wang Kai gritted his teeth and refused to fall unconscious. If he fainted now, not only would Wang Kai's attempt to fuse with the soul bone completely fail, his body might also suffer irreversible damage. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Wang Kai's body kept trembling from the terrifying cold. A layer of frost had formed on the surface of his body due to the cold air that seeped out of his body. However, he still clenched his fists tightly, not allowing himself to faint from the cold. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours. After 2 hours of extreme cold, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth had turned slightly blue from biting it so hard. His body was also covered in a thin layer of black ice. The heavens did not disappoint those who persevered. At this moment, the omnipresent cold air finally began to slowly dissipate. It's over. I've finally succeeded. Another 2 hours passed. Wang Kai finally felt that the Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone had completely fused with his body. He opened his eyes and immediately shook his hands violently. The black ice that covered the surface of his body shattered, and he stood up immediately. Successfully fused with the 700,000-year-old Void Thunder Dragon's right leg bone. Learned the skill Void Annihilation Thunder. At this moment, the system's notification sounded in Wang Kai's ears. However, Wang Kai was not in a hurry to check the skill. Instead, he first practiced a set of the improved Limitless Blood Spear technique and swept away the cold in his body. Phew, it's finally much warmer now. After practicing a set of the Limitless Blood Spear technique, Wang Kai only felt that the qi and blood in his body were finally vigorous again. His mind was also active again. When he looked down, the small tent that was originally erected below him was also retracted. It seemed that the extremely cold power of the Void Thunder Dragon's soul bone had taken effect. It had dissolved most of the hot and violent primordial yang power in the Vajra Jade Dragon's blood essence. Apart from that, Wang Kai's soul power had increased by almost 80%, even though he hadn't gained any source experience after fusing with the incomparably precious right leg bone of a Void Thunder Dragon. Right now, Wang Kai's total soul power was probably not inferior to a soul sage's. Not only that, after fusing with this soul bone, Wang Kai's physique had increased by almost 30%. Regardless of whether it was his strength, defense, or speed, they had all reached a new level. Let's take a look at my new soul skill. With a thought, Wang Kai's consciousness entered the information interface. Wang Kai was very much looking forward to the soul bone dropped by a 700,000-year-old soul beast. That's awesome! What a powerful soul skill! It's a pity that this soul skill consumes too much soul power. After seeing this soul skill, Wang Kai revealed a look of joy in his eyes. However, he shook his head helplessly. This new soul skill, Void Thunder of Annihilation, could summon an extremely powerful bolt of lightning with terrifying annihilation power to attack the enemy. It could ignore most defensive soul skills and directly attack the Soul Master's body. According to the difference in strength and consumption, this soul skill had 3 levels of consumption. If he wanted to unleash the lowest level of strength, he would have to use up all the soul power of a soul sage. The strength he could unleash was enough to severely injure a soul dolua. If he wanted to unleash the second level of strength, he would have to use up all the soul power of a soul dolua. The final strength he could unleash was enough to severely injure a titled dolua. As for the highest level of strength, he would have to use up all the soul power of a titled dolua. There was no upper limit, and its strength could severely injure a peak dolua. If enough soul power was used, it could even severely injure a demigod or even a quasi-god. Right now, Wang Kai's soul power was similar to that of a beginner soul sage. If he used this soul skill, he could severely injure a soul dolua. It could be used as a trump card. However, this soul skill had very high requirements on a soul master's physical body. Once it was unleashed, the Void Thunder of Annihilation would also injure the soul master's body. Therefore, it was very likely that Wang Kai would lose his mobility for a period of time after unleashing the Void Thunder of Annihilation. Therefore, this soul skill could only be used as a sure kill attack in a one-on-one battle. It was very difficult to use it as a regular attack. Chapter 175. It's a pretty good skill. Although my Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron has many 100,000-year soul rings, the Chaotic Mountain and River Cauldron is only an auxiliary type and control type martial soul. Its attack power is obviously lacking, and this skill can be used as my strongest attack skill. Apart from this, although my soul power is insufficient and I can only barely activate the lowest third level of power, and I might even suffer a certain amount of backlash after using it, it's obvious that as long as I continue to level up and increase my soul power and physical strength, the power of this skill will also become stronger. In short, this is definitely a rare and perfect soul skill. Right when Wang Kai was pondering in his heart, he suddenly seemed to sense that familiar voice calling out to him from afar. Oh, that little fellow is hungry again? That's right, after all, it's been a week since I fed it. While thinking, Wang Kai walked to the pit where the mysterious spider egg from Arachnid was buried, and quickly dug up the soil. He placed the spider egg on the ground. Compared to the last time, the size of the spider egg didn't increase, but the runes on the surface of the spider egg were brighter, and the life force contained within was more vigorous. Just as Wang Kai was about to condense Shura's baleful aura to feed it, a crisp "walla" sound suddenly rang out beside his ear. What's wrong? Wang Kai was stunned for a moment, and then subconsciously looked at the spider egg in front of him. At this moment, he saw that the originally red, glass-like surface of the spider egg actually had a small crack. Gotcha! Gotcha! Just as Wang Kai was bewildered, a few more crisp sounds rang out, and the originally shallow crack on the spider egg suddenly became deeper and longer, spanning across more than half of the surface of the shell. After a short while, a series of patter-patter sounds entered Wang Kai's ears. Under his gaze, a slender and fair young girl's arm stretched out from the crack on the spider egg, grabbing at the air twice before finally grabbing onto the egg shell. Then, the young girl's weak and boneless arm exerted a bit of force, and a small, white face that was devastatingly beautiful peeked out from the egg shell. Her wet black hair hung straight down, looking exceptionally alluring, and on her forehead was a blood-red eye-shaped imprint, adding a bit of mysterious beauty to this young girl who was born from the spider egg. This was the first time she saw the world outside the eggshell, and the beautiful young girl's slender and slightly raised eyelashes quickly fluttered a few times. Wang Kai's face was clearly reflected in her beautiful sapphire-like pupils. She tilted her head, and her expression was innocent with a trace of ignorance. Then, she opened her pink lips and let out a delicate young girl's voice. "Mommy." Although the young girl's voice was still a bit muffled, Wang Kai still completely understood the young girl's meaning. He reached out his hand and gently stroked the young girl's moist forehead, and said in a low voice, "I'm not your mommy. If it's possible, just call me Daddy." "Okay, Daddy." The young girl nodded obediently as she stretched out her other hand, and completely tore apart the remaining eggshell like a piece of paper. Then, she slowly stood up from the spider egg, revealing her perfect figure that belonged to a 12 or 13-year-old girl. Hot body, enchanting curves, slender waist, long and straight jade legs, in addition to her perfect figure, this young girl's facial features were also extremely delicate. Bright gem-like eyes, a white and cute nose, and slightly pointy little ears. It could really be said that she was extremely cute. Her skin was also extremely white, tender and smooth, and could be broken by the wind. She was completely comparable to Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian. However, there were some faint red patterns on her body, which distinguished her from ordinary human beauties. However, these patterns didn't destroy the girl's devastatingly beautiful appearance at all. Instead, they added a bit of wild and mysterious beauty to her. What's going on? Looking at the indescribably beautiful young girl in front of him, Wang Kai couldn't help but feel pity for her. However, he still silently asked little Guang in his heart. "Master, your martial spirit is Emperor Shura's martial spirit, and the Shura clan actually has the ability to create a clan. According to analysis, this young girl in front of you absorbed a large amount of your Shura's evil spirit and was converted into your clan. This should be the reason why she has such a big change." Hearing Wang Kai's question, little Guang also calmly analyzed and answered. "But, her original body is arachnid, how did she become like this?" After hearing little Guang's words, Wang Kai nodded as if he understood something, but still continued to ask in doubt. "Master, the Azura is a race that roams unhindered through the myriad of races in the heavens, and has never been defeated. Furthermore, your martial soul, the Azura sovereign, is the strongest expert within the Azura race. Apart from the colossal dragons, Cheelants, phoenixes, and other legendary races. Once the bloodlines of other races come into contact with the Asura's baleful aura, they will immediately be assimilated and devoured, not to mention a mere man-faced demonic spider. Therefore, apart from the remnants of arachnid genes in her body, this young girl's bloodline is more from the Shura clan. Therefore, it is normal for her appearance to be similar to that of the Shura clan. That's amazing! After hearing little Guang's answer, Wang Kai couldn't help but exclaim inwardly. At this moment, little Guang's voice rang in Wang Kai's mind once again. Besides, as a clan member, this young girl can be said to be your descendant. Not only that, but based on the racial laws of the Shura clan, all of her actions will be absolutely obedient to you. After being converted into a clan member, her combat strength, growth cycle, and other attributes are definitely not comparable to the original Arachnid clan. Perhaps she can be of help to you, Master. I see. After hearing little Guang's words, Wang Kai suddenly had a new idea in his mind. If that's the case, I can capture a large number of soul beasts to transform into my clan members and create an army of soul beasts, right? Master, I'm afraid your idea won't be realized. Generally speaking, there is a limit to the number of clan members that can be converted into the Shura clan. Although your martial soul is Emperor Shura and the quality of your bloodline far surpasses that of ordinary Shura clan members, you can only convert 3 clan members before you ascend to become a deity of this world. Just as Wang Kai was feeling pleased with his idea, little Guang's cold words shattered Wang Kai's illusion. Mommy, I'm hungry. Just as Wang Kai asked little Guang in his mind, the young girl knelt down and swallowed the shattered eggshell on the ground. After finishing the eggshell, she stood up again and spoke while pouncing at Wang Kai like lightning. Chapter 176. Bam! The girl's body was very slender, but her strength was exceptionally great. With this collision, Wang Kai's body swayed slightly. Come, open your mouth. Upon seeing the young lady approaching him, Wang Kai extended his right finger and a ball of Shura's murderous aura gathered between his fingers. Upon sensing the Shura's murderous aura on Wang Kai's palm, the young lady's eyes glinted. She half squatted in front of Wang Kai and gently bit his finger. Remember, you're not allowed to bite me, Wang Kai reminded. Yes, Mom. The young lady replied vaguely and tasted the food with relish. Upon sensing the warm and moist feeling in her mouth, Wang Kai couldn't help but rotate his finger slightly, making intimate contact with her cheeks and the tip of her tongue. The young lady, who was busy eating, didn't resist at all. Instead, the corners of her mouth curled up slightly due to the slight itch. 10 minutes later, along with a burp, the young lady finally let go of her mouth reluctantly. She spread her jade-like arms and stretched her waist, revealing her beautiful body. At that moment, Wang Kai asked, By the way, do you have a name? Name? I don't have a name. Upon hearing Wang Kai's words, the young lady blinked and said with a trace of confusion. Okay, then you'll be called Mashu from now on. After pondering for a moment, Wang Kai caressed the young lady's head and said, Mashu, huh? Got it. Then, I'll be called Mashu from now on. Nodding her head gently, the young lady revealed a smile as though she was delighted to have a name of her own. That's right, Mashu. This will be your name from now on. As for me, don't call me Mom. If you must, just call me Dad. Looking at the young lady's obedient and adorable look, Wang Kai couldn't help but feel like a loving father. Wang Kai instructed as he extended his arm and gently straightened Mo Shu's long black hair. Yes, father. Mashu understands. Mo Shu nodded and replied gently when she heard Wang Kai's words. Oh right, this is for you. With a thought, Wang Kai exchanged for a beautiful and pure student uniform from the Point store and handed it to Mo Shu. Dad, what is this? Mo Shu asked in confusion as she gently took the student uniform that Wang Kai handed to her. Although the bloodline inheritance had given her a lot of memories and instincts about killing and fighting, she was still clueless about these everyday things since she had just been born less than an hour ago. These are clothes. If you want to appear in front of other males other than me, you have to wear them. Alright, don't move now. I'll help you put on your clothes this time. After explaining, Wang Kai took out a towel and gently wiped away the remaining water stains on the young lady's body. Then, he gently lifted Mo Shu's slender and fair arms and gently helped her put on her clothes. A minute later, Mo Shu's outfit had changed. She now looked like an extremely pure and beautiful middle school student from a private aristocratic school. Coupled with her unparalleled and beautiful face, she was extremely attractive to men. At the same time, Wang Kai personally put on a pair of white silk stockings with long laces around Mo Shu's slender and straight feet. The tight silk wrapped around the young lady's legs tightly, revealing her most beautiful and alluring side. Wang Kai couldn't help but be a little mesmerized by it. What a comfortable feeling. Thank you, Dad, for saying that. Mo Shu blushed as she looked at the clothes on her body. The corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up slightly at this moment. There was even a look of joy in her eyes. Mo Shu smiled as she looked at Wang Kai, who was admiring and appraising her with a greedy gaze. She hugged Wang Kai tightly and kissed him on the cheek. Oh yes, Mo Shu, what abilities do you have now? How strong are you in terms of fighting strength? After helping Mo Shu put on her clothes, Wang Kai continued to ask curiously at this moment. In terms of abilities, I'm different from Dad. I don't need to fuse with soul rings. Instead, I'll continue to awaken my innate abilities as my body grows. Right now, I'm only in my infant form. I only have 5 skills. Instant spider web, corrosive missile, paralyzing poison, quick dash, and toxic ray. As for fighting strength, it's about the same as a 10,000-year soul beast, right? Although she didn't know anything about life, the young lady's tone became a lot more excited when it came to fighting. She couldn't help but speak faster. Oh, that's not bad. In that case, how can you grow? Do you also need to cultivate? After hearing Mo Shu's words, Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction. Mo Shu had the fighting strength of a 10,000-year soul beast the moment she was born. It could be said that she had extraordinary potential. Wang Kai asked with a smile as he gently pinched the girl's snowy cheeks. Cultivate? There's no need to say that. As long as I can eat my fill and sleep, Mo Shu can grow naturally. Of course, if I can devour the corpses of high-tier soul beasts, Mo Shu's growth will be greatly accelerated. Being toyed with by Wang Kai's tender cheeks, the demon spider didn't show the slightest displeasure. On the contrary, she seemed to enjoy the process. When she heard Wang Kai's question, she quickly replied. High-tier soul beasts' corpses? Oh, that's simple. You can enjoy them to your heart's content. As he spoke, Wang Kai held Mo Shu's hand and walked to the other side of the small plain. He pointed at the dozens of soul beasts' corpses that he had killed in the angel realm. Thank you, Dad. Mo Shu's eyes lit up when she saw the mountain of soul beasts' corpses in front of her. However, Mo Shu, do you see this? You can enjoy these soul beasts' corpses as much as you want, but you can't move or eat the herbs that I've planted. Do you understand? Otherwise, I'll be very angry, Wang Kai said as he rubbed Mo Shu's little head. Yes, Dad. I won't touch those herbs. After hearing Wang Kai's words, Mo Shu immediately nodded and agreed. This place is a little small, so you'll have to bear with it for a while. Also, I'll teach you some life experiences later. You have to learn well. Do you understand? Wang Kai continued to instruct her. Yes, I understand. After Mo Shu agreed, Wang Kai also returned to the secret cultivation room in the Doloa continent. At the same time, he put his substitute puppet back into the small plane. After that, Wang Kai left the secret cultivation room and walked to the master bedroom. In the small plane, Wang Kai's substitute puppet cut a large piece of soul beast's flesh for Mo Shu to roast. Chapter 177. After leaving the small plane, Wang Kai returned to his secret cultivation room. At this point, more than half a day had passed since he went to the small plane to cultivate by himself. It was already evening on the Dolua continent. After spending most of the night with the two girls, Wang Kai finally fell asleep after enjoying the beauty of both of them. In the small plain, Mo Shu exclaimed in delight after tasting the roasted meat made by Wang Kai's substitute. She ate close to 20 kilograms of roasted soul beast steak before she stopped. It was completely disproportionate to her small body. However, her stomach was slightly bulging from the large amount of food that had entered her body. She let out a burp before falling asleep. The next morning, Wang Kai entered the small plane again. His great arcane star's heavenly suppressing soul refining divine technique had been deduced to the 6th level, and he was ready to cultivate. Daddy! Mo Shu immediately pounced over with great enthusiasm when she sensed Wang Kai's aura. She bumped into Wang Kai. Unlike Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian, as Wang Kai's family, Mo Shu and Wang Kai's souls were connected by blood. As a result, she could acutely sense the difference between Wang Kai's substitute and his main body. Good girl Mo Shu. Wang Kai gently rubbed Mo Shu's black hair and revealed a fatherly smile. He then said, Mo Shu, I'm going to start cultivating today. You're not allowed to disturb me when I'm cultivating. If you're hungry, I taught you how to roast meat yesterday. You can cook it yourself. Do you understand? Yes, I won't disturb Daddy. Mo Shu nodded obediently and briskly walked over to the pile of soul beast corpses. She started to light a fire, leaving only the faint fragrance of a young girl lingering at the tip of his nose. Under the unique fragrance of the young girl, Wang Kai also sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and immediately calmed his qi and focused his mind, cultivating according to the Supreme Mystery Star Heavenly Suppression Soul Refining Divine Art that Xiao Guang transmitted to him. Unlike the Taishan Heaven Suppression Technique, this new technique that combined the Taishan Heaven Suppression Technique and the Astral Soul Forging Divine Art not only required one to condense a soul force vortex in the body, but also to use one's spiritual energy to draw and absorb star force, which was much more difficult than before. However, for Wang Kai, although he was still a little shaky when he first started, he quickly grasped the knack of it with Little Light's help. 3 hours later. Cultivating the Supreme Mystery Star Heavenly Suppression Soul Refining Divine Art, Origin Experience plus 470. Cultivating the Supreme Arcane Star Heavenly Suppressing Soul Refining Divine Art. Spiritual power increased. Multitasking 22 tasks, 17% to 18%. Refining the remaining medicinal power in your body, Origin Experience plus 310. This cultivation technique is really amazing. As Wang Kai stopped cultivating, the system's notification rang in Wang Kai's ears as usual. With a hint of joy in his eyes, Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction. Although the current Extreme Mystery Star Heavenly Suppressing Soul Refining Divine Art was still a level lower than the previous Extreme Mystery Heaven Suppressing Soul Refining Divine Art, the amount of origin experience gained from cultivating it had increased by nearly a third, and the amount of medicinal energy that could be refined had increased by quite a bit. Not only that, but this new technique could also increase Wang Kai's spiritual power. Although the increase this time wasn't very large, it definitely wasn't small. Wang Kai believed that his spiritual power would become more and more powerful under this technique. Father, are you hungry? Mo Shu made some roasted meat for you. Do you want to eat? When Mo Shu saw Wang Kai standing up after finishing his cultivation, she quickly walked over and handed him a skewer of barbecued meat the size of an arm. She then said sweetly, Don't worry. I am indeed hungry. Thank you, Mo Shu. A look of joy appeared on Wang Kai's face as he thanked her. He stroked Mo Shu's hair gently as a reward, then took the skewer from Mo Shu with his other hand and ate heartily. After eating, Wang Kai returned to the Dolua continent and brought Li Ning to the secret training ground. After 2 weeks, Li Ning had successfully obtained his 8th soul ring and become a soul Dolua, and returned to Martial Soul Holy City. After receiving the life energy from becoming a soul Doluo, Li Ning's complexion became a lot younger, and he was very grateful to Wang Kai. After arriving at the secret training ground, Wang Kai continued to spar with Li Ning. However, Wang Kai requested that Li Ning suppress his fighting strength to that of an elementary stage Soul Emperor so that he could train Wang Kai's fighting strength to the greatest extent. Just like that, 10 days passed quickly in the process of cultivation and battle. After 10 days of training, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian's relationship became more harmonious. Mo Shu also grasped some basic knowledge of the human world under the guidance of the substitute, and Wang Kai gained a lot from his battle with Li Ning. However, Wang Kai's greatest gain during this period was that his experience was already on the verge of becoming a rank 58 Soul King. Break through today. After arriving at the small plain, Wang Kai instructed Mo Shu not to disturb him. He sat down cross-legged and activated the Great Mystic Star's Heavenly Suppression Soul Forging Divine Technique. 3 hours later. Cultivating the Great Mystic Star's Heavenly Suppression Soul Forging Divine Technique, Origin Experience plus 470. Cultivating the Great Mystic Star's Heavenly Suppression Soul Forging Divine Technique, Spiritual Power Increased, Multitasking 22 times, 26% to 27%. Refining the remaining medicinal power in your body, Origin Experience plus 310. You have 70,270 Origin Experience points. Advancement requires 70,000 Origin Experience points. You have met the advancement requirement. You have used 70,000 Origin Experience points to advance to a rank 58 Soul King. You have 270 Origin Experience points left. You will need 80,000 Origin Experience points for the next advancement. After finishing his cultivation, 4 consecutive system notifications sounded in Wang Kai's mind. Wang Kai revealed a satisfied smile. Immediately after, a warm current gushed out from the depths of his body and spread through his meridians to his 4 limbs. Under this warm current, every cell, every piece of tissue, and every meridian in Wang Kai's body were jumping with joy. They crazily absorbed the warm current around them and underwent the deepest level of reorganization and evolution. I did it. Another hour passed and the warm current in Wang Kai's body faded. He stood up with a trace of joy. He had finally broken through to become a rank 58 Soul King. After advancing, Wang Kai's total soul power had increased by 10%. His strength, defense, speed, and other aspects had also improved. Daddy, your aura has become stronger. Sensing that Wang Kai had finished his cultivation, Mo Shu skipped over and handed a huge skewer of meat to Wang Kai. Yes, I've advanced. Very good. Mo Shu, your cooking has improved. As he explained, Wang Kai took big bites of the meat skewer in his hand and praised her. Thank you, Daddy. After hearing Wang Kai's praise, Mo Shu revealed a sweet smile. As Wang Kai's family, she had her own thoughts and preferences. However, because of her genes and bloodline, Wang Kai's praise and loving caresses were always the 2 things that made her the happiest. Alright, Mo Shu, you have to work hard to grow up. Only then can you help Daddy. After gently caressing Mo Shu's forehead again, Wang Kai revealed a satisfied smile as he watched her enjoy herself. After that, he returned to the Dolua continent. Chapter 178. 4 days later, in the Pope's palace. Holy Son Wang Kai, you performed very well in the last diplomatic mission to the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. You have brought great glory to our martial spirit hall. Not only that, your wonderful performance has also laid the foundation for the further cooperation between our martial spirit hall and the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Well done, Wang Kai. Sitting on the crystal throne in the middle of the Pope's palace, Bibidon lowered her head and smiled at Wang Kai below. Her eyes were full of admiration, and her words were full of satisfaction. Thank you for the compliment, Your Highness. Such achievements are definitely not due to Wang Kai alone. If not for the Martial Spirit Hall as my solid backing, If not for Senior Golden Crocodile's protection, Wang Kai would not have been able to achieve such success. After hearing Bibidan's praise, Wang Kai was neither arrogant nor rash, and said lightly, "Don't belittle yourself. Holy Son Wang Kai has also done his best in the cooperation between us and the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. If not for your personal charm to move and subdue the Seven Treasures Glazed sect's little princess, Ning Yuxian, I'm afraid we would not have been able to reach such a close cooperation with the Seven Treasures Glazed sect." Seeing Wang Kai decline, Bibidan was not stingy with her praise. Immediately, she explained to him the purpose of summoning Wang Kai. "This time, I summoned you here because the Star Luo Empire sent an envoy to our martial spirit hall to propose a marriage alliance. They said that their emperor wants to matchmake you and the Star Luo imperial family's little princess, Dai Qingli. Regarding this matter, our martial spirit hall's elder group also attaches great importance to it. This time, our martial spirit hall will send 2 consecrators, Qian Jun and Yen Mo, to accompany you." "I understand, Your Highness. I will do my best to complete the mission." Wang Kai bowed and solemnly agreed. "Very well, then I'll wish you a safe journey." In the evening, at the Green Xian Hall, after a day of cultivation, they enjoyed dinner together. Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian also came to Wang Kai's room early in the morning. The 3 of them took a bath together and then came to Wang Kai's room. "Snow, Stillwater, I'll be leaving Martial Soul Holy City tomorrow to visit the Star Luo Empire. If nothing goes wrong, our big family will welcome a new member very soon." While gently stroking Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian's silky hair, Wang Kai smiled. "Ah, is Lord Husband leaving again?" With a trace of reluctance in her eyes, Ning Yuxian held onto Wang Kai's hand and asked in a sweet voice. After tasting Wang Kai's supreme delicacies, Ning Yuxian felt that she could no longer leave Wang Kai for long periods of time. "Yes, that's right. I'll be leaving for the Star Luo Empire for about 2 weeks. After I leave, you have to get along well. Don't quarrel or fight, understand?" He smiled and gently rubbed Ning Yuxian's face, then turned to Chihiro Snow and said in a serious voice, "Jianxue, Stillwater, understands." Hearing Wang Kai's instructions, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian glanced at each other, then nodded in agreement. "Lord Husband, since you're leaving, shouldn't you reward us first?" At this time, Chihiro Snow quietly approached Wang Kai and buried her cute little head in front of Wang Kai. "Of course, I'll be leaving you for 2 weeks. I also miss you very much. Then, let's have fun tonight." After saying that, Wang Kai's demonic claws reached out. "Yes, big brother Wang Kai, Lord Husband." Seeing the big hands approaching, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian didn't resist at all. Instead, they were delighted and allowed Wang Kai to touch all parts of their bodies. After warming up, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian's breathing became faster and faster, and their faces flushed red. At this time, Wang Kai also began to undress. After staying up for almost half the night, Wang Kai woke up in the morning and gently covered Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian, who were still sleeping soundly on the bed, with a blanket. He went to the bathroom and washed the dirt off his body. After that, he left the Green Xian Hall and went to the Doloa Palace to meet up with the demon-subduing Doloa and the 1,000 Jun Doloa. 3 hours later, a group of people led several Soul Doloa red-robed bishops, more than 10 white-robed bishops, and many servants out of the martial Soul Holy City. They rushed to the capital of the Star Luo Empire, Star Luo City, which was thousands of miles away. 3.5 days later, the group from the Martial Soul Hall approached the outskirts of Star Luo City. The green city walls were 100 meters tall and stretched for 100 miles. The moat was 50 meters wide and bottomless. There were thousands of soldiers wearing fine iron armor and holding long spears guarding the city walls. All of these undoubtedly made the city look extremely solemn and strict. The Heaven Do Empire was different from the Star Luo Empire, which was controlled by the 3 great sects and many other sections. The Star Luo Empire was a country that centralized power, valued martial power, and advocated individual heroism. In terms of the number of titled Doluo, the Star Luo Empire far exceeded the Heaven Do Empire. It was a very strong enemy. In the Star Luo Empire, the imperial family, which had the White Tiger as their martial soul, was the strongest soul master family. They also had the strongest control over the Star Luo Empire. The emperor of the Star Luo Empire, Dai Aotian, was the strongest person in the Star Luo Empire. He was also a rank 96 titled Dolu. Other than Dai Aotian, the imperial family of the Star Luo Empire had several titled Doluo and princes. Other than that, there were also many Soul Doluo and princes. In terms of the number of powerful people in the imperial family, they didn't lose to the Clear Sky sect, which was known as the #1 sect on the continent. Other than the imperial family, there were also many powerful families in the Star Luo Empire. For example, the Zhu family, which had the Netherworld Civet as their martial soul, the Chun family, which had the Wilderness Giant Crocodile as their martial soul, and so on. These families all had titled Doluo holding down the fort. Many of them held important power in the imperial family and the military of the Star Luo Empire. However, the combined strength of these families couldn't rival the Dai family. They could only obediently submit to the Dai family. The suspension bridge at the main gate of Star Luo City was slowly lowered when the Martial Soul Hall team appeared. 64 cannon salutes sounded. Following this, the city gates opened. A large group of soldiers wearing chainmail and holding weapons escorted a golden palanquin out of the city gates. They stopped in front of the Martial Soul Hall team. Upon closer inspection, the palanquin was engraved with many ferocious flood dragons. It looked very mighty and majestic. 2 soldiers stepped forward and pulled open the curtains of the palanquin. A golden-haired, middle-aged man slowly walked out of the palanquin. At this moment, the demon-subduing Doluo, the 1,000 Jun Doluo, and Wang Kai also walked out of the palanquin. Chapter 179. Your Highnesses the Demon Slayer, Qian Jun, and Holy Sun, I am Dai Yonghao, the Duke of the Star Luo Empire. Dai Yonghao extended his right hand politely as he arrived in front of Wang Kai and the others. You're too kind, Dai Yonghao. We're honored to be invited to the Star Luo Empire as guests. The demon-subduing Doluo smiled as he shook Dai Yonghao's hand gently. You must be the Holy Son of the Martial Soul Hall, Wang Kai. You're indeed a young hero. Jinghong has been thinking about the fight with you ever since he returned. He's been working a lot harder on his cultivation. After meeting the demon-subduing Doluo and the 1,000 Jun Doluo, Dai Yonghao came in front of Wang Kai and spoke with a kind smile on his face. Greetings, Senior Dai. You're too kind. Compared to Brother Jinghong, I'm only slightly stronger. Wang Kai replied humbly as he shook hands with Dai Yonghao. In that case, please follow me to the guest hostel. Tomorrow morning, the Emperor of the Star Luo Empire, Heavenly Tiger Doluo Dai Aotian, will personally meet all of you in the imperial court. As he spoke, Dai Yonghao gestured for them to enter. Please lead the way. As he spoke, the people from the Martial Soul Hall followed Dai Yonghao into Star Do City. The next morning, in the Star Luo Empire, Star Do City, Imperial City, the 1,000 Jun Doluo, the demon-subduing Doluo, and Wang Kai passed through the resplendent Imperial Palace, which was engraved with dragons and phoenixes. They arrived in front of the Star Do Empire's majestic Imperial Court. As they looked up the stairs in front of the Imperial Court, they could see rows and rows of royal guards standing guard outside the majestic Imperial Court. The entire atmosphere was very solemn and dignified. Welcome to the Martial Soul Hall. A deep male voice came from the depths of the main hall. At the same time, 9 masters of ceremonies, who were dressed in luxurious robes and were in charge of welcoming the guests and praising the guests, walked down the stairs together. The person in the lead was Dai Yonghao, who had welcomed them yesterday. They stopped in front of Wang Kai's group and respectfully welcomed Wang Kai's group into the court. According to the etiquette of the Star Luo Empire, this type of welcome was known as the greeting of the 9 guests, and it was a form of welcome for the most distinguished guest. As Wang Kai and the others walked up the steps, the imperial guards outside the palace raised their halberds and struck the ground 9 times in a row to express their welcome and respect for the distinguished guest. Walking up the stairs, Wang Kai arrived outside the imperial court hall. This was a majestic building that was 50 meters tall and made entirely out of marble. Looking up, the dome of the imperial court hall, which was more than 40 meters tall, and the extremely spacious hall, gave off a formless sense of oppression. Looking to the 2 sides of the hall, there were hundreds of civil and military officials of the Star Luo Empire standing on either side. They were dressed in luxurious and dignified official robes, and their bodies were ramrod straight. The overall atmosphere was very solemn. Wang Kai used his eye of detection to look around. Almost all of the officials in the imperial court hall were soul masters at the soul king level or higher. More than 70% of them were soul sages, and Wang Kai couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Compared to the Heaven Do Empire, the Star Luo Empire was indeed much stronger. If the Heaven Do Empire didn't have the protection of the 3 superior sects, the 4 inferior sects, and the other sects, and if the Star Luo Empire didn't have many strong individuals, they would have taken over the Heaven Do Empire a long time ago. Although the Star Luo Empire had many strong individuals, they were still inferior in terms of the number of strong individuals. Furthermore, the Star Luo Empire's strongest individual, Dai Outyan, wasn't a match for Tang Xiao, Chun Xian, and the other strong individuals of the Heaven Do Empire. Looking to the front of the imperial court hall, a red carpet was laid out on the golden floor. At the end of the carpet was a tall platform that stood alone like a small city. Dozens of guards and attendants stood on either side of the platform, and a wide golden throne was placed on top of the platform. There was a middle-aged man sitting on the throne. His face was broad and domineering, and his eyes were bright and full of expression. He appeared exceptionally dignified and domineering. He wore a long robe with golden edges, and in the center of the robe was a white tiger that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Around the white tiger were embroidered the images of dragons of different shapes and sizes. The white tiger was the symbol of the Star Luo Empire, and it was also the martial soul of the royal family. Therefore, the emperor of the empire had always respected the tiger, and the dragon was his second. The person sitting on the dragon throne was the emperor of the Star Luo Empire, the rank 95 titled Doluo Dai Outyan. Although he didn't look very old, he was actually an old man who was close to 80 years old. It was only because he was powerful, had a long lifespan, and was full of vitality that 80 years hadn't left too many scars on his face. Your Majesty, the 3 esteemed guests from the Martial Soul Hall have been brought here. After entering the Imperial Court Hall, the 8 MCs retreated to the shadows at the back of the hall. Dai Yonghao, who was in the lead, stepped forward and bowed to Dai Outyan before reporting respectfully. "Thank you for your hard work, Haoqing. You may leave." A majestic and dignified voice sounded from the throne, and Dai Yonghao silently retreated to one side. "The 3 esteemed guests from the Martial Soul Hall have come from afar. Thank you for your hard work. I welcome you on behalf of the millions of citizens of the Star Luo Empire. Men, please take a seat." Dai Outyan nodded at Wang Kai and the others with a serious expression on his face before he spoke. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Wang Kai and the others bowed to express their gratitude, and there were naturally servants who carried chairs over to them. They invited Wang Kai and the others to sit at the front of all the officials, and they were only a step away from the high platform in front of them. "Is this holy son Wang Kai? You're indeed young and promising, and you're very elegant. You're very much like me when I was young. Wang Kai, I have a daughter named Dai Qingli. She's only 13 years old, and she's very beautiful. She's very generous, and she's very talented." After hearing about your deeds, Qingli's heart was filled with admiration, and I'm willing to marry her to you. Wang Kai, what do you think? Looking at Wang Kai, Dai Aotian's eyes revealed a look of admiration. Soon after, he opened his mouth and asked, "Since your majesty is willing to grant a marriage, then Wang Kai will naturally be disrespectful." Wang Kai's face revealed a trace of joy as he replied in a deep voice, "Great. Since that's the case, Dai Jinghong, you and Wang Kai wouldn't have gotten to know each other without fighting. This time, you'll bring Wang Kai to the princess residence to meet Qingli. I'll first discuss the cooperation with the two Martial Soul Hall consecrators. If Qingli and Wang Kai find each other agreeable, you'll bring them back and immediately test them. Do you understand?" Dai Aotian's gaze landed on Dai Jinghong at the back of the officials as he instructed. "Yes, your majesty." Dai Jinghong walked up at this moment and arrived in front of Wang Kai. Then, he brought Wang Kai out of the court hall and rushed to the princess residence in the imperial city. Chapter 180. Half an hour later, in the princess residence. After the announcement, Wang Kai was invited to enter the princess residence alone, while Dai Jinghong was arranged to rest in a pavilion outside the princess residence. After passing through the luxurious and majestic princess residence, Wang Kai arrived in front of Dai Qingli's bedroom. When she saw Wang Kai, a maid standing in front of the bedroom walked in. Immediately after, an elegant female voice sounded from inside the bedroom, "Your Highness Wang Kai, please enter. Then I'll come in." As he replied, Wang Kai walked into the bedroom with large strides. In front of him, a graceful and beautiful young lady appeared. She had a head of golden hair that was filled with a noble and elegant aura. She had a pair of heterochromatic eyes that resembled a magnificent red crystal on the left and a resplendent sapphire on the right. She had a small and exquisite nose that carried a heroic aura. The young lady's face could really be called a heavenly beauty. Looking down from the young lady's face, her snow-white and slender neck could attract the gazes of countless men, and people couldn't help but want to take a bite. Her skin was like white jade, and it emitted a faint luster under the illumination of the room's lights. It was very captivating. On Dai Qingli's body, she wore a set of silver half-body armor, which outlined the round moon in front of her, making her look even more delicate. It also added a trace of a woman's heroic spirit. Other than her perfect skin, Dai Qingli's figure was also extremely seductive. Her curvy body and slender legs were definitely more beautiful than the celebrities that Wang Kai had seen on the internet. Furthermore, the Doloa continent didn't have many beauty retouching techniques like the Blue Planet. In other words, the woman standing in front of Wang Kai was a natural beauty, whose appearance was comparable to that of a 2D anime girl. So beautiful! A look of admiration appeared in Wang Kai's eyes as he stared at Dai Qingli's fairy-like figure. Although Wang Kai already had two beauties by his side, Chihiro Snow and Ning Yuxian, and Mo Shu was hidden in the small plain, he actually didn't like ordinary beauties. However, when Dai Qingli appeared, Wang Kai still felt his soul tremble slightly. Just as Wang Kai was sizing up Dai Qingli was also sizing up Wang Kai in front of her. Black hair, a handsome and masculine face, a fit and powerful figure, and skin as smooth as jade. Wang Kai's handsomeness defeated all the men she had seen before. In that instant, Dai Qingli's soul was almost taken away by Wang Kai. Is this the holy disciple of the Martial Spirit Hall, His Highness Wang Kai? After all, Dai Qingli was still influenced by royal etiquette, so she quickly calmed herself down. She secretly glanced at Wang Kai with adoration as she spoke in a dignified manner. "Yes, I am Wang Kai, the holy disciple of the Martial Spirit Hall. I presume you're my future fiancée, Princess Dai Qingli of the Star Luo Empire?" Listening to Dai Qingli's melodious voice that flowed like spring water, Wang Kai only felt as if his soul had been relaxed and released. He looked at Dai Qingli with a yearning expression as he replied in a deep voice. Their eyes met in the air, and they could see the yearning and adoration in each other's eyes. That's right, I'm Dai Qingli, Dai Aotian's youngest daughter, the princess of the Star Luo Empire. I'm very happy to have met you, Wang Kai. As she spoke, Dai Qingli revealed a bright smile. Dai Qingli was a member of the royal family, and although she was doted on by her father, the Star Luo Empire's Emperor Dai Aotian, and almost all of her requests were granted, Dai Aotian didn't give her the right to make a decision when it came to marriage. According to convention, the princesses and princes of the royal family would usually marry into the Star Luo Empire's Zhou family, Qin family, and other great families. This was used to strengthen the relationship between the royal family and the other great families, as well as to consolidate the royal family's ruling power. However, Dai Qingli didn't take those heirs of the great families, who were more than 10 years older than her, seriously. Until today, when she saw Wang Kai, she finally felt that she had found her prince charming. Of course, Dai Qingli also knew that if she married Wang Kai, she could only be his second wife. However, when she saw Wang Kai, Dai Qingli made up her mind. Let alone being Wang Kai's second wife, she was willing to be Wang Kai's concubine, or even his personal maid. She would never be tired of it. I'm very happy to meet you, Qingli. You're really too beautiful. It's my great honor to have a super beauty like you join my family. After hearing Dai Qingli's reply, Wang Kai revealed a generous and bright smile. His voice was masculine and magnetic, and it was pleasing to the ear. Yes, I've seen Your Highness Wang Kai. I feel that Your Highness Wang Kai is indeed my idol. Then, let's not delay any longer. Let's go. As long as I explain to my father, you'll be the Star Luo Empire's son-in-law. Oh, that's right. According to our Star Luo Empire's ancestral rules, if you want to become the Star Luo Empire's son-in-law, His Majesty will give you a difficult test. Apart from that, the young master of the Chen family, Chen Wu, has been pestering me. It's very likely that the Chen family will make things difficult for you during our marriage. When the time comes, you'll have to be careful. Upon hearing Wang Kai's reply, Dai Qingli revealed an embarrassed expression and explained plainly. Test? That's not a problem. As for that Chen Wu you mentioned, how strong is he? After hearing Dai Qingli's words, Wang Kai calmly asked. His voice was filled with confidence. If it's Chen Wu, he's already 32 years old this year. In terms of strength, he's just become a sole emperor. Furthermore, although Chen Wu's appearance isn't too ugly, it's still very unsightly. Someone like him wants to pursue me? How disgusting. It's a good thing that my father dotes on me. Although he doesn't let me choose my spouse, he won't force me to marry someone I don't like. At the mention of Chen Wu, Dai Qingli's face was filled with disgust and unwillingness. If this Chen Wu has just become a sole emperor, then he's not a problem in my eyes. Don't worry. Then, when are we going to see your father? After hearing Dai Qingli's words, Wang Kai's heart was as calm as an ancient well. His eyes were also filled with faint confidence. If Your Highness Wang Kai doesn't have any questions, then let's go now. As she spoke, Dai Qingli made a please gesture. Chapter 181. Although she had been mesmerized by Wang Kai's temperament, Dai Qingli was still the little princess of the imperial family after all. She had been nurtured by the imperial family's etiquette since she was young, so she did not hold hands with Wang Kai like Ning Yuxian. The two of them walked out of the princess residence side by side and brought Dai Jinghong with them to the outside of the imperial court. At this moment, someone naturally went in to inform Dai Jinghong. Dai Jinghong brought Wang Kai and Dai Qingli into the imperial court and arrived in front of Dai Aotian's throne. When he saw Dai Qingli arrive, Dai Aotian's domineering eyes revealed a trace of indulgence and gratification. Soon after, he asked gently, Qingli, you've met Wang Kai whom Imperial Father has found for you. Are you satisfied with him? Your subject Qingli greets Imperial Father. Your subject Qingli fell in love with His Highness Wang Kai at first sight. Your subject Qingli is willing to marry His Highness Wang Kai. Dai Qingli said gently as she bowed towards Dai Aotian. Very good, very good. Qingli, since you don't object, then this matter is settled. My beloved subjects, do you have any objections? Dai Outyin lowered his head and swept his gaze across the officials in the imperial court. Your subject, Chun Zhan, has an objection. Even though His Highness Wang Kai's natural talent is extraordinary, he's still an outsider in the end. Moreover, your subject has heard that His Highness Wang Kai has already married an official wife and an official wife. Therefore, I don't approve of the marriage between Princess Qingli and His Highness Wang Kai. It just so happens that I have a grandson by the name of Chen Wu. He is courageous and skilled in battle and has achieved success in his cultivation. He is a good match for the princess. Your Majesty, please reconsider. At this moment, the leader of the officials, a gray-haired old man, stepped forward and spoke loudly. Imperial Father, Qingli fell in love with Wang Kai at first sight and is willing to marry him for life. Even if His Highness Wang Kai already has other wives, Qingli doesn't mind. As for Chen Wu, Qingli really doesn't have any good feelings towards him. Hearing Chen Zhan's words, Dai Qingli's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of anxiousness as she quickly spoke. General Chen Zhan, you heard it, right? It's not that we don't want to match Qingli with your Chen Wu, but Qingli herself isn't willing. I once promised Qingli that I wouldn't force her to marry someone she doesn't like. You can leave now. Dai Ao Tian's voice was filled with an unquestionable majesty as he gave the order. Yes, Your Majesty. Seeing that Dai Outyin's tone already carried a trace of displeasure, Chen Zhan didn't dare to persist. He obediently bowed and left. Wang Kai, I'm sure you know that the Star Luo Empire was founded on martial prowess. Since you want to marry the little princess of the Star Luo Empire, you have to pass my test. Are you prepared? Looking at Wang Kai once again, Dai Outyin's eyes were filled with admiration as he casually asked. Your Majesty, I'm ready. Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of shrewdness as he spoke in a deep voice. Very good. The test I'm going to give you is to kill a 10,000-year soul beast 100 kilometers away from Star Luo City, the scarlet-haired silver-horned leopard. Do you have the guts to do it? After thinking for a moment, Dai Outyin plainly asked. Your Majesty, may I know the specific age of this soul beast? After hearing Dai Outyin's words, Wang Kai cautiously asked. If it was a newly advanced 10,000-year soul beast, he could indeed kill it with only Emperor Shura's martial soul. However, if it was a 15,000-year soul beast, Wang Kai would have to use 2 martial souls to defeat it. If it was a 20,000-year soul beast, Wang Kai might not be able to defeat it even if he used all his martial souls. This soul beast is one of the soul beasts in our Imperial Soul Hunting Garden. Its original cultivation was around 9,000 years, but recently, it received some sort of opportunity and directly became a 10,000-year soul beast. Originally, I wanted to use it as a small challenge for the younger generation of the Star Luo Imperial Soul Hunting Garden. Now, I'm handing this soul beast over to you to kill. Do you have the guts to do so? Dai Outyin wasn't angry when he heard Wang Kai's question. He only explained plainly. If it's a newly advanced 10,000-year soul beast, I'm confident that I can kill it. Then, Your Majesty, when will the test begin? Wang Kai confidently replied. Very good. After the morning assembly, the test can begin this afternoon. As the ruler of an empire, Dai Outyin was a very decisive person. Seeing that Wang Kai had agreed, he immediately set a time. Half a day later, the Martial Soul Hall and the Star Luo Empire had finished discussing the basics of the relationship between the Martial Soul Hall and the Star Luo Empire. After a sumptuous banquet, Dai Outyin led a group of imperial family members and high-ranking officials of the Star Luo Empire to the Imperial Soul Hunting Forest with the Martial Soul Hall. After arriving at the Imperial Soul Hunting Forest, everyone disembarked from their carriages and rode on the horses provided by the nearby Imperial Horse Farm. The group of people swept into the Imperial Soul Hunting Forest. Another half an hour passed, and everyone stopped in front of a hill. This was where the scarlet-haired, silver-horned leopard resided. After greeting Dai Outyen, Wang Kai came to the hill and crazily circulated his soul power. Shura's possession. Following Wang Kai's low roar, mysterious and extraordinary black scales crazily grew on the surface of his body. His fingernails became thicker and longer, forming 10 sharp Shura's claws. At the same time, a pair of Shura's horns appeared on top of his head. A faint layer of Shura's flames burned on his body, and his aura skyrocketed. What a strong martial soul! That's right. Even though I'm a soul emperor, Wang Kai's martial soul made my heart skip a beat when he unleashed it. Yes, this Wang Kai is so strong and he's so handsome. I think that His Majesty has married Qingli to him. It can be said that they are well matched in terms of social status. Seeing Wang Kai's transformation, the Star Luo Empire's civil and military officials all started to discuss. Dai Outyen looked at Wang Kai with more and more admiration. At this moment, Wang Kai's fourth soul ring flashed behind him. Shura's monarch armor. Streaks of blood-red Shura's murderous aura started to gather around Wang Kai. Soon after, the shadow of a set of extremely mighty blood-red armor appeared on the surface of Wang Kai's body and finally took shape. Around Shura's monarch armor, 3 blood-red shields floated in mid-air and slowly revolved around Wang Kai's body. Under the sunlight, they sparkled and looked extremely cool. Following the appearance of Shura's monarch armor, Wang Kai's aura reached a new peak. When he came to the side of the hill, Wang Kai immediately saw a 3-meter-long silver-horned leopard with scarlet-red fur and a single silver horn on its forehead. A bright light flashed in his eyes. Wang Kai formed Shura's dragon-slaying spear and leapt down. Chapter 182. Die, you bastard! Limitless Blood Spear. Wang Kai leapt down from the sky and channeled his soul force into his Shura's Dragonslayer's spear as he charged towards the leopard. Just as Wang Kai's figure fell straight down, the red-haired silver-horned leopard that was eating also discovered Wang Kai. It instantly turned into a red shadow and pounced towards Wang Kai. A man and a leopard crisscrossed in the air. Wang Kai aimed his spear at the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's head, and the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard swung its claws to meet the attack. With a pring sound, Wang Kai felt a strong force pass through his hand, causing his arm to feel slightly numb. But the crimson fur silver-horned leopard in the distance also retreated several steps from Wang Kai's spear. Again, Wang Kai waved the Azura dragon killing spear in his hand, turning into a bloody shadow as he charged at the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard. The crimson-haired silver-horned leopard also stomped on the ground and charged at Wang Kai. Right at this moment, the members of the imperial family led by Dai Jinghong, the officials of the Star Luo Empire, and the members of the Martial Soul Hall had gathered around the small hill, and they'd come to enjoy this extremely exciting battle. A 10,000-year soul beast, even if it had just become a 10,000-year soul beast, wouldn't be weaker than a high-tier soul emperor. Some 10,000-year soul beasts were even able to defeat soul sages who didn't use their martial soul true bodies right after they became stronger. Normally speaking, one would need a team of experienced soul kings to kill a soul beast of this level. But today Wang Kai, who was also a soul king, was going to attempt to kill a 10,000-year soul beast by himself. What a magnificent feat this was! Because of this, even the Star Luo Empire's officials, who were a little hostile towards the Martial Soul Hall, couldn't help but stare at Wang Kai. They didn't want to miss such a perfect fight. Ignoring the spectators, Wang Kai and the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard exchanged another blow. Both man and beast were pushed back by the force of the collision. At this time, the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's aura suddenly soared. The silver horn in front of it glowed brightly, and a silver ray of light shot towards Wang Kai with a mysterious power. Good timing! Wang Kai raised his eyebrows as he looked at the silver ray of light shooting towards him. He immediately channeled his soul force. Shura's instant prison shadow stab. His soul rings flashed, and Wang Kai's figure appeared behind the scarlet-haired silver-horned panther. At the same time, countless shadows drilled out from under the leopard's body and bound it tightly. After losing its target, the silver ray of light shot towards the ground where Wang Kai was originally standing. Immediately after, there was a violent explosion. Silver light shot in all directions, forming a huge pit about 5 meters in diameter. Smoke and dust flew everywhere, and even the small hill shook slightly. Die! Wang Kai shouted angrily. He waved his left hand, and Ashura's shadow stab that contained a frightening amount of shadow energy condensed in his hand. At the same time, Wang Kai's arm moved and he swung his spear. Sensing Wang Kai's two incomparably fierce attacks, the scarlet-haired silver-horned leopard's eyes instantly flashed with a kind of fear. It struggled frantically, trying to break free from the shadow's hands. However, it couldn't do so. Helpless, it could only channel all the strength in its body, and its body flashed with silver light. Shura's shadow stab was the first to arrive. It collided with the silver light around the leopard's body. Immediately, streaks of black gas rose from the point of contact, and the silver light around the leopard's body started to weaken rapidly. Just as Shura's shadow stab was about to disappear, Wang Kai's Shura's dragon-slaying spear also arrived. This time, the leopard lost a large amount of energy. The protective energy around its body couldn't withstand Wang Kai's sharp attacks anymore. It was stabbed in the back of its leg, and fresh blood spurted out. After its body was injured, the leopard's bloodthirst and wildness as a soul beast was completely stimulated. It let out a sharp cry and twisted its body, tearing apart the shadow's hands that were wrapped around it. After that, it turned into a streak of silver light and shot towards Wang Kai. Its silver horn pierced towards Wang Kai's chest. "Suppress it!" Wang Kai revealed a serious expression as he looked at the leopard that was pouncing towards him. The previous battle was only a warm-up at best. Now, the real battle was about to begin. Limitless Blood Spear. Wang Kai crazily channeled his soul power and shot out 3 spear strikes. A violent sound of metal clashing rang out from the hill. Wang Kai took 3 steps back, and his chest felt a little stuffy. Although Wang Kai's body was stronger than that of a normal soul sage after being tempered by the immortal grass, a soul sage had to use his martial soul true body if he wanted to be as strong as a 10,000-year soul beast. Right now, Wang Kai was still inferior to a 10,000-year soul beast in terms of strength. Just as Wang Kai steadied himself, the leopard pounced towards Wang Kai again. Everyone from the martial soul hall felt their hearts in their throat. They were worried that Wang Kai wouldn't be able to take this attack. "Open up!" Wang Kai's eyes flashed. He crazily channeled the power of yin and yang and the power of earth. A huge amount of power was absorbed into his body. Then, his spear struck out like a dragon. Clang! With a clear sound of collision, Wang Kai's figure retreated once again, but this time, the pressure he felt was obviously much weaker. This was the power of the limitless blood spear. Even if his strength was inferior to his opponent's, Wang Kai could still defeat him by accumulating his power. Spear after spear, Wang Kai was pushed back less and less. By the 25th spear strike, the absolute power he had accumulated was no weaker than the full power of the leopard. At this moment, the powerful beings watching the battle from the sidelines also realized what was going on. Qian Jun and Yan Mo had seen Wang Kai fight before, so they weren't surprised at all. However, those from the Star Luo Empire were full of admiration and jealousy. A self-created soul skill that could accumulate power. For a young man who wasn't even 20 years old, this was a terrifying comprehension and talent. Looking at Wang Kai's performance, Dai Outyan, who was watching from the side, was full of admiration and praise. He asked himself honestly, even he couldn't create such a stunning self-created soul skill when he was 20 years old. While the experts were still in shock, Wang Kai had completely suppressed the crimson fur silver-horned leopard. Spear after spear, Wang Kai forced the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard back again and again. The Azura god-slaying spear mercilessly left wounds on the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's body, causing it to bleed incessantly. In Wang Kai's detection eye, the leopard's HP gradually decreased. Soon, it fell to less than 50%. Following the decrease in HP, the leopard's strength and speed were no longer as fast as before. At this time, Wang Kai's limitless blood spear had accumulated power to the 49th spear strike. Chapter 183. Limitless Blood Spear. Wang Kai's essence, energy, and spirit merged as one. The soul power and killing intent in his veins surged wildly as they surged towards the Shura's dragon-slaying spear in his right hand. The 49 spears combined into one at this moment, and a strange red light shone from the body of the Shura's dragon-slaying spear in Wang Kai's hand. Roar! In the next moment, an ear-piercing dragon's roar rang out from the body of the Shura's dragon-slaying spear. An incomparably ferocious blood-red dragon's image appeared at the tip of the spear, and it exuded a boundless and terrifying aura. Following this, Wang Kai swung his right arm, and the blood-red dragon's image shot out from the tip of the Shura's dragon-slaying spear. It streaked across space with a mysterious and unfathomable might, and it charged towards the crimson silver-horned leopard in the distance. The blood-red dragon's image left behind a faint layer of bloody aura in its wake, and a faint smell of blood permeated the air. If an ordinary person wasn't a seasoned warrior or soul master, they would have fainted on the spot if they were exposed to this bloody mist. As the blood-red dragon moved forward, a gust of wind blew through the valley, and the leaves on the ancient trees in the valley were blown off. Even the sleeves of the spectators on the small hill were swept up by this gust of wind, and they had no choice but to circulate their soul power to keep the gust of wind at bay. Too strong. This was the thought that almost all of the Star Luo Empire's powerhouses had after watching Wang Kai's attack. Even if this attack came from a soul sage, they wouldn't have doubted it, let alone a soul king. It was also at this moment that the blood-red dragon's image traversed space and struck the crimson silver-horned leopard's waist. The enormous impact sent the crimson silver-horned leopard flying far away, and the blood-red dragon's image exploded violently. Following a deafening explosion, a dense cloud of bloody mist spread out from the explosion, and the ground shook violently from Wang Kai's attack. Killed a 10,000-year crimson fur silver-horned leopard. Obtained plus 120 origin experience, plus 9,500 experience, plus 1 origin credit, plus 2,000 points. As the system notification rang out in his mind, the thick blood mist at the place where the blood dragon had exploded slowly dissipated. Looking through the blood mist that had yet to dissipate, with the blood dragon as the focal point, there was already a large crater with a diameter of more than 10 meters and a depth of nearly 1 meter. The edges of the crater were corroded by the blood mist. In the middle of the crater, a faint black halo floated in the air, and on both sides of the crater lay the upper and lower bodies of the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard. The wounds were badly mutilated and fresh blood was flowing out. Under Wang Kai's spear, this ferocious 10,000-year soul beast simply couldn't withstand it, and was directly torn in half by this terrifying attack. Good, very good. Wang Kai, you have perfectly passed my test. Now, cut off the head of this crimson-haired silver-horned leopard and use it as a betrothal gift to Qingli. Looking at Wang Kai in the distance, Dai Outyan's eyes were only filled with admiration and admiration. When he was young and only a soul king, Dai Outyan definitely couldn't have killed a 10,000-year soul beast as cleanly as Wang Kai. However, only such an outstanding youth was worthy of being Dai Outyan's son-in-law. As you wish, father-in-law. As he spoke, Wang Kai walked to the side of the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard. With a thought, the Shura's dragon-slaying spear turned into droplets of blood and disappeared. Following that, Wang Kai's left hand held the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's body in place while his right hand formed a knife-hand shape. Using the Shura's sharp claws that grew from the side of his palm, he viciously chopped at the leopard's neck. Crack! Crack! Once, twice. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking and the friction of muscles being cut, the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's head was completely separated from its body after a few seconds. Boiling blood spurted out from its neck like a fountain and splattered all over the ground. Picking up the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's head that was still dripping blood, Wang Kai deactivated the monarch's armor and Emperor Shura's possession. With a light tap of his foot, he leapt up the small hill and arrived in front of Dai Outyin. "Father-in-law, this is my betrothal gift to you. I hope you like it." Wang Kai spoke loudly as he extended his hand to hand the crimson-haired leopard's head to Dai Outyin. "Good, very good. As expected of my son-in-law." Dai Outyin's eyes flashed with joy as he took the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's head from Wang Kai's hands. He nodded in satisfaction as he patted Wang Kai's shoulder heavily. Seeing this scene, the Star Luo Empire's civil and military officials looked at Wang Kai with less caution and friendliness. Beside them, a crafty look flashed across the Zhu family's master's eyes. "Men, keep this head. When the time comes, we'll get a master to refine it. It can be a new treasure in the palace." Before Dai Outyin could finish speaking, 2 guards walked over with a crystal box and kept the crimson-haired silver-horned leopard's head. After that, the group left the Imperial Soul Hunting Forest and rushed back to Star Luo City. When everyone returned to the palace, it was already nighttime. After learning that Wang Kai had killed the red-haired silver-horned leopard and obtained her father's approval, Dai Qingli's heart was filled with joy as flowers bloomed in her heart. Dai Outyin officially announced the marriage between Wang Kai and Dai Qingli to all of the officials and members of the imperial family during the banquet. The next day, this news would be announced to the entire Star Luo Empire, and all of the citizens would be given a day off to celebrate the occasion. "Qingli, tonight, let me go to your princess residence to sleep with you." However, Wang Kai didn't want to wait any longer. After the banquet ended, he whispered into Dai Qingli's ear. "Today? That's fine too." Although Dai Qingli yearned for Wang Kai's love, she was still a princess of the imperial family. She was a little reserved, unlike Ning Yuxian and Chihiro Snow, who were as proactive. "Let's go then." Before Dai Qingli could finish speaking, Wang Kai had already taken the initiative to hold her arm and pulled her toward the princess residence. When they arrived at the princess residence, Wang Kai once again pestered Dai Qingli to soak in the bath together with him. Under Wang Kai's skillful and precise movements, Dai Qingli's soft moans were unceasingly heard, and her delicate little face was dyed with a layer of red, making her seem shy and cute. She was like a ripe red apple, making one unable to help but want to taste her. After the bath, Wang Kai carried Dai Qingli to her bedroom. At this time, Dai Qingli was only wearing a tight-fitting dudu, completely revealing the beauty of her body in front of Wang Kai. Looking at Dai Qingli's attire, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a look of excitement and desire. Chapter 184. Hee Qingli, you're so beautiful. While kissing Dai Qingli's little face, Wang Kai couldn't help but praise. "Your Highness Wang Kai, you're so handsome too." After being touched by Wang Kai, Dai Qingli's eyes were a little dazed. Listening to Wang Kai's warm praise, she also smiled sweetly. Her voice was full of seductive charm. "Hee Qingli, in order to satisfy your father today, I spent a lot of effort to kill the 10,000-year red-haired silver-horned leopard. Now, shouldn't you repay me?" A mischievous smile appeared on Wang Kai's face as he whispered into Dai Qingli's ear. "Repay your highness? Of course, but your highness Wang Kai, what kind of repayment do you want from me?" Hearing Wang Kai's words, Dai Qingli also showed a sly smile. As smart as she was, how could she not understand the meaning behind Wang Kai's words? "Hee, as long as you don't object. Then, Qingli, you have to repay me." Revealing a mischievous smile, Wang Kai whispered in Dai Qingli's ear like a demon. "Is that so? But but that's not good. If it's like this, it's a little too embarrassing. When she heard Wang Kai's evil request, the blush on Dai Qingli's beautiful face became even more intense. Her body was like a frightened deer as she curled up in Wang Kai's embrace. Soon after, she lifted her head to look at Wang Kai and stuttered. As a princess of the royal family, she received a noble education from a young age. When had she ever heard of such a soul-stirring action? In fact, not to mention Dai Qingli, even Chihiro Snow, who had been receiving personal education from Wang Kai, would be incomparably shy if she heard Wang Kai's words. However, to Wang Kai, who came from the Blue Planet, this was actually nothing new. Seeing Dai Qingli's adorable frightened look, Wang Kai also laughed out loud. Then, without waiting for Dai Qingli to react, Wang Kai had already gently pushed her down on the pink bed. An exciting but indescribable battle was about to start. Early in the morning, when the first ray of sunlight shone through the window onto the large bed in the princess residence, Wang Kai also slowly opened his eyes. What entered his eyes was a young girl with a head of long golden hair, two slightly pointed elf-like ears, delicate skin, and peerlessly exquisite facial features. Her entire body was brimming with vitality, and she had a pure and moving temperament. Her appearance was extremely adorable. Without a doubt, this young girl was the Star Luo Empire's princess, Dai Qingli. At this moment, Dai Qingli's originally gorgeous and neat pure white princess dress had become ragged, and there were many spots of blood on it. At this moment, there were traces of tears on her face, and she was tightly curled up in Wang Kai's arms like an injured kitten. Her extremely white skin was also imprinted with the manic marks that Wang Kai had left behind last night. Looking at Dai Qingli's pitiful appearance, Wang Kai's heart couldn't help but stir again. He really wanted to reenact last night's battle on this bright and beautiful spring morning. However, Wang Kai also knew that Dai Qingli's father, the Star Luo Empire's emperor, Dai Aotian, was going to announce this fortunate event to the citizens of the Star Luo Empire. Wang Kai and Dai Qingli were also going to ride a flower carriage around Star Luo City to receive the congratulations of the citizens. Wang Kai didn't want to make his future father-in-law unhappy over such a small matter. Therefore, he and Dai Qingli also took a simple bath and cleaned up the various stains and bloodstains on their bodies. After eating breakfast, they changed into their best clothes and headed to the palace. Qingli, looking at you, it seems like you had a very good night last night, right? Seeing Dai Qingli's slightly abrupt steps and slightly flushed expression, the experienced Dai Aotian immediately saw through her. After that, he revealed an "I understand" expression and laughed heartily. Father, yes. It's just that it's a little too tiring. I've already rested for so long, but I'm still a little out of breath. Dai Qingli revealed a shy expression as she acted a little coquettishly. Qingli, you don't understand this. Meeting such a brave and powerful man like Wang Kai is your blessing. You might not understand what I mean right now, but I think you'll slowly understand. Dai Aotian revealed a mysterious smile and turned to Wang Kai. Wang Kai, not bad. Looking at Dai Qingli, you must be a brave and powerful young man. You're quite similar to me when I was young. Come, good boy. Dai Aotian revealed a bold smile as he lightly patted Wang Kai's shoulder. Hearing Dai Aotian's praise, Wang Kai revealed an embarrassed smile. Then, Dai Aotian said faintly, I know that you have a main wife and a second wife in the Martial Spirit Palace. I definitely won't object to this. As a man, you should have the magnanimous heart and the ideal of benefiting the world, right? However, Wang Kai, since you've chosen to give Qingli your unique love and let her become your woman, you must treat her well wholeheartedly and never abandon her. Do you understand? Otherwise, even if Qingli is soft-hearted and can forgive you, my sharp claws definitely won't. Wang Kai nodded seriously when he heard Dai Aotian's words. Soon after, he said, Father-in-law, please don't worry. Since Qingli has already joined my big family, I will definitely treat her with all my heart. Father-in-law, Please don't worry about Qingli in the future. That's good. Let's go, the float is ready. Hearing Wang Kai's promise, Dai Outyan nodded with satisfaction. Hearing Dai Outyan's words, Wang Kai and Dai Qingli walked out of the palace and arrived at the plaza. On the plaza, there was a 3-meter-tall, luxuriously decorated float. Looking at each other with a smile, Wang Kai and Dai Qingli walked into the float. Then, the float set off from the palace and circled around Xing Luo City. Dignified guards of honor, the streets were decorated like a sea of flowers, and the sounds of celebration could be heard constantly. It could be said that this celebration was extremely lively. It was already 3 hours later when they returned to the palace. After enjoying lunch, Wang Kai took the opportunity to ask Dai Outyan to take a look at the Star Luo Empire's Imperial Library. Dai Outyan naturally agreed to such a simple request. Not only that, but he also told Wang Kai that as part of the cooperation between the Martial Spirit Palace and the Star Luo Empire, he and Dai Qingli would have an opportunity to temper their bodies in the Star Luo Empire's secret place, the Star Luo Blood Pool. This made Wang Kai very excited.